All characters and events based in this podcast, even those based on real people, are entirely fictional. All celebrity voices are impersonated, poorly. The following program contains coarse language, and due to its content, it should not be listened to by anyone.
Technically, like,
this is Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is their Thanksgiving special.
I forgot. And it, like, the only part that's actually Thanksgiving is with
well, there's
the
turkeys.
Canadians and the turkeys.
Yeah, there's turkeys. Turkeys are Thanksgiving. I think Thanksgiving is a good holiday.
Well, I just like the food and the days off.
Exactly. The food, there's 2 days, a full 4 days.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
The food is the same as Christmas for the most part, but you get a pumpkin pie in there and the leftovers and everything. There's football.
Yeah.
And there is no obligation for a present to either receive or give.
Right.
It's beautiful.
It's just kind of hang out, eat food. So
yeah.
That's it.
It's a wonderful
Maybe
holiday.
Play a game.
It's a very underrated holiday.
Well, people don't like it. But
people don't like it?
Yeah, but I think that's just because of the history behind it, and people are like to shit on things like that.
Okay, well, yeah. The way that it works
today. Holidays nowadays are just like the Hallmark holidays, that's what I like to think about it as. It's like, well, nobody really... Do people actually celebrate it for the reason that it, like, became a thing? Probably not.
I'm talking about the traditions that you do.
Yeah, you're just talking about the traditions.
It's underrated in that regard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get deals on consumer goods, all good things.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's no negatives. I would wager I might find Thanksgiving better than Christmas, only because of the fact that there's guaranteed football and there's the 4 days in a row, all of that stuff. Now they're gonna put football on Christmas, but football on Thanksgiving seems to go better. There was no. I guess you don't actually hit Thanksgiving in this episode. It's just around Thanksgiving.
I think it's just around. Which when they go all out to eat together, is that their Thanksgiving, or is that just them all eating together?
It's just all them eating together, I think.
Should we actually talk about the episode now?
Yeah, okay, all right. Hello, everybody. I'm Kevin.
I'm Rachel.
And this is Shelf Life, a podcast that always bets on Jesus and also goes through pop culture. Rachel went, yeah, that's all right. It goes through pop culture one at a time, be that any genre, movies, TV, books, comics, games, whatever else ChatGPT said we do, music, sports, or whatever, wrestling. And we determine whether or not the item and subject at hand belongs on your shelf. Today, Rachel, what are we talking about and continuing the discussion of from the last full Shelf Life episode? We took a little bonus there, break, to celebrate Halloween and come back. What are we doing today? What is up for contention to the shelf?
More of season 1.
Yeah, we just keep going.
just keep going. More of season 1 of South Park. Going back to Denver,
Correct.
Colorado.
South Park, Colorado.
I said Denver. Going back to South Park, Colorado.
Do that for. Otherwise, they fall under Shelf Life Selects, as Rachel has dubbed it, where we might want to cover parts of a television show, but we're not going to cover the whole thing. But South Park is an exception to the Shelf Life Selects rule. It gets the full Monty. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what the full one is. I don't know.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rachel, what episode are we doing today? Actually, I'll say the episode. You can tell us what it's about. So today we are covering episode 8 from season 1, which is Starvin Marvin.
Yes.
Rachel, what happens in Starvin Marvin?
Where's Marvin from?
Ethiopia.
He's Ethiopian?
Yep.
Okay. Is he really? I thought it was something else. It was with an N.
No, that's the last one, Nairobi. That's the candy that Wendy gave away to the Nairobi kids, but Starvin Marvin's from Ethiopia.
Okay. So Starvin Marvin is about the boys adopting a child from Ethiopia and showing them American traditions with food.
Yeah.
They wanted a watch, but they got a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wanted to watch, a kid came. And then there's a B plot to it, too, where these turkeys have been genetically engineered, and they've become self-aware of what happens to turkeys, I guess.
And they're becoming all powerful.
Yeah, they've decided to take back the power from the people.
Yes. It's the Thanksgiving episode of South Park.
Yes, it is the Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving out there, everyone.
For those listening to the podcast for Thanksgiving. It's a seasonal podcast.
That's right. So hopefully you put your headphones on. There's a calamity going on in the kitchen.
Yeah, go
People
ignore your family.
The Lions are playing, or the Cowboys are playing. You're watching probably a shitty football game. Put your headphones on, listen to Shelf Life, talk about Starvin Marvin. Just as like a reprieve.
Yeah, give yourself a break and enjoy all the shenanigans today. But continue to, snack on some food. You got to get that food.
Absolutely. You got to get that food. As I said at the top, I do love Thanksgiving. It's a great holiday. Underrated in the top holidays list.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. This episode came about, like we said in our last, where we covered South Park, Comedy Central wanted more episodes quickly, and Matt and Trey were like, no, we can't do it that fast. So they said, we'll do holiday specials. So this was like the second of the holiday specials that they did, which was for Thanksgiving and Starvin Marvin. And like I told you, Rachel, I think they're hitting their groove at this point. They're really coming around of understanding what they can do with this world, who these characters are, and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, it does feel that way. They're rounding everything out. They're starting to get stuff where they want it to be, and it's kind of fun to actually like go back and like analyze how that all is actually playing out.
So let's get right into it. This is Starvin Marvin. It was directed by Trey Parker, written by Trey Parker. It debuted on November 19th, 1997. So the episode first of all, I watched the DVDs as well, as your copy probably on the Max.
Yes.
So the DVD version always starts with them doing like a little bit before they get into the episode.
Okay.
Because it's
I always forget that it does do that. Yeah. What's their bit this time?
They're at a ranch and they're like doing like, oh, hello there, we're from the Old West, and they're doing like this like they're introducing like a 50s style Western.
Beautiful.
So yeah, it's a good little bit. The best part is at the end, Trey takes out like two little like those toy pistols that make the noise when you like click them.
Of course, yeah.
And they both like go like.
Oh, it's because they're scared of the
popping
away,
sound. And like Matt like puts his ears and then they go like and it doesn't like little and they like both jump.
Oh, that's kind of funny. That seems kind of on. That seems like real.
Yeah,
like
very on brand. Very on brand. The episode begins in earnest with the kids watching Terrence and Phillip, a Thanksgiving special for Terrence and Phillip. So again, they're putting themselves into the Terrence and Phillip show by having them have a Thanksgiving special. And Cartman's mom, they're all over at Cartman's house doing this, and then Cartman's mom walks in and asks them if they want cheesy poofs, and Cartman's like, get out of the way of the TV.
And of course
we
want cheesy poofs.
Yes. Which is repeated a lot in this episode. It almost becomes like a saying from South Park of, yeah, we want cheesy poofs. The sponsor for Terrence and Phillip is one of those commercials. You still get them. You get them watching South Park, actually, a lot. For the ASPCA, especially.
Oh, yeah, sure.
About starving people and starving kids in Africa. So the sponsor for Terrence and Phillip happens to be this Starving Kids in Africa commercial. Which makes sense, because you get them a lot around the holidays.
Yeah. For
the folks at home that aren't from the U.S. Although I don't know. I honestly don't know if, like, do you get this around the globe?
That's true.
Because, I mean, in a lot of quote-unquote first world countries or Western culture countries, I could see this being a thing.
Yeah.
But I am kind of curious, in your Australias, your Japans, your Europes, is it like the same way where, because we get that, like, donate, they're trying to make you feel guilty. Essentially,
it's pretty much because a lot of the times they'll put the sad music. They want you to look at the sad children. I mean, it's understandable. It is a horrible thing that's happening, right? So they're trying to make you feel guilty and want to donate something to help. But
I do wonder if this plays slightly differently for people outside of the U.S.
Oh, yeah, I'd be kind of curious.
Yeah, of how it's definitely a thing in the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
So at the time, I don't know if she does this anymore. So they make fun of Sally Struthers in this. So apparently, I don't remember this, but apparently it was a thing. And I guess it was a thing, like, because it was real. Sally Struthers was in these commercials with kids from Ethiopia, different parts of Africa. And Trey and Matt thought that it looked very hypocritical or just, like, amusing to them or, like, ridiculous because she's a bigger lady, or was a bigger lady.
Right.
And she's, like, talking about how there's not any food here, and no one has anything to eat. And it's, so, like, their point was, like,
and she's probably, like, all dolled up, and she looks really healthy, and then she's, like, around all these kids.
She's a big lady.
Well, like, not healthy, but you know what I mean, like...
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess their point is, like, maybe you should do a voiceover, because if you're, like, talking about all these emaciated people, and you look fat... It looks stupid. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, see, doesn't it look strange?
It's a little odd, yeah.
She looks like she does in the show a little bit. Obviously they do exaggerate.
Yeah, they make her morbidly obese and go nuts with it, but it is kind of silly.
She's wearing, like, a 5-piece suit.
She's got, like, this blazer on, and she's larger, so she's larger especially next to, like, these kids and everything, but it is kind of silly. I think they even made fun of her on, like, Saturday Night Live and stuff, too, so it's like, it's probably a thing. It's probably, like, she's a joke, I think, at that point.
So, Sally Struthers was also, I think she was in All in the Family. I think she goes back to the 70s when it comes to sitcoms.
Okay.
I think Stan says she doesn't look like she's having any trouble finding food there or something like that.
Something.
So they really let her get it. Apparently, according to Matt and Trey, they heard this, that Sally Struthers was a fan and she was very upset that they made fun of her. I think in particular she was upset that they made of what they did at the end of the episode where she's hoarding the food from the Africans.
Yeah, because it's like, well, that's actually opposite of what I'm trying to do.
It's probably tough. It's South Park. So, like, you have to understand that they're going to
make fun of you, but it kind of sucks still when you're actually trying to do something good and then people, like, shit on you for it. Yeah. So, I mean,
I think you kind of have to take it out, with some...
Yeah,
because I think the problem is... I would
be afraid of them making fun of me, but still.
Yes. But I think the problem is, like, otherwise they're just going to give it to you harder. Like, I think when they realize that it made her mad or upset or whatever, she comes back in the sequel to this episode and it's worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. At the same time, like, 20 years later, they have PewDiePie actually in the episode, and it's like, you're South Park. You should be making fun of PewDiePie, which
they probably did, though, in the episode, didn't
do with Cartman, but at the same time, they, like, let PewDiePie, like, get the last word. We'll get to that maybe one day.
I've never seen that episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the newer ones. The more
How is it,
like,
newer? Because, like, he hasn't done that
like
shit for, like, years now. He pretty much, like, retired from doing that kind of stuff.
It's, like, 2016 is still modern.
Oh, okay. I guess that's a few years ago at this point. It's, like, almost a decade ago.
Whatever.
That's interesting, though. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they still make fun of people, but I guess when they have them on the show, they kind of hold back. Is that what you're trying to say?
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they don't have a lot of guest stars. Because, like, they even say, like, that was the... Speaking of, so we can probably... That's a good segue into this. The subplot, which we'll get into, is about the turkeys running amok. Jerry Seinfeld had called into the studio and said that he'd be interested in doing a voice. Apparently he was, like, a fan of the show and wanted to do a voice. As we've already discussed, like, George Clooney played Sparky.
Yeah.
And just did dog noises. So they were like, oh, well, we're gonna come up with this show with, like, a bunch of turkeys. Like, it'd be funny if you just did the noises of the turkeys. So we would say, like, Seinfeld, but he would just be doing turkey noises. His agent didn't like that idea.
Well, of course, but I bet Seinfeld was probably like, whatever. Like,
well, that's what they did. That's what they said. They didn't even know if it ever got back to Jerry
because of the
Jerry called them. They were like, well, we'll come up with an idea. Like, we'll pitch you an idea, and it only ever got to the agent, and the agent said no. So they don't. They were like, we don't even know if Jerry Seinfeld ever even heard what it was supposed to be.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling if he was, like, just a fan of the show and they, like, even said, well, like, so-and-so, George Clooney did the dog, like, you can be the turkey. He'd probably like, all right, so you just do weird animal noises when you're a guest instead of actually being something.
Yeah.
I think he probably would have been like, all right, and then probably came up with something and made it sound goofy and maybe Seinfeld-ish. I don't know how I would gobble gobble as a Seinfeld, but, just...
Gobble gobble!
Yeah, there you go. There it is.
Whoa.
There it is. That's it. I like it.
Eventually
the bee
became
movie,
a
it's the turkey movie.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, Seinfeld could have been in this, but he is not. During the commercial, they say that if you sponsor a child, you'll get a digital sports watch for free.
Yeah.
And the kids are like, awesome, we've got to get this.
Right.
So Stan says he'll call because he knows his mom's credit card number. It's for like $5 too, so it's not breaking the bank here. Like they're not
right. It's not too.
They're not like ruining
is it $5 a month or is it like just $5 period?
I think it's more like you'd
like
sign up to do
thing.
$5 a month and do it monthly. Yeah.
That would make sense. The whole time that they're like talking about it and getting ready to call and everything, they're just like yelling at each other. I just think it's funny that they just they're like
they're like little
they're just kids like yelling at each other when they're trying to get this watch. It's like shut up, shut up, I'm calling.
Yeah, that's part of that essence of Matt and Trey being like those little kids are little jerks,
right?
And they act like little jerks to each other. So
it's just I would think that the person on the phone too would have been like either put a parent on the phone or I'm hanging up. Like
yeah, they don't care if they get that $5.
I guess
They're
that's
fine.
True.
Stan says they want to adopt one of those African kids to get the watch. And he doesn't say sponsor like
no,
they
he
say
does say
sponsor.
Adopt.
He does say adopt. So I think it's clever and or they didn't mean to do it, but it worked.
I think the whole idea is like with the animal ones, you adopt the animal. You can adopt a tiger, you can adopt a bear, and they kind of give you like the tracking number and whatnot for like that one that you adopted, quote unquote.
Right.
So I think he was like in his head goes adopt the African child instead of sponsor.
Right. Yes.
That's where I went with that one, but...
No, I agree, and it can go over your head if you're just kind of, like, watching it passively, but when you know what the plot, or, like, what's coming, it's like, oh, that's interesting, I wonder if that's why that happened?
Why the person got confused and was like, oh, they're
because
adopting
they literally thought they wanted to adopt a kid.
Yeah. So then do you think it was still $5?
It's a hell of a deal on a kid.
That's what I'm
for the folks at home going through the adoption process. It's probably a hell of a deal.
I would have. Oh my
god!
Seriously.
I think it probably was still $5 because at no point does Sharon ever yell at Stan for using the credit card.
I guess that's true. Yeah. Because otherwise they probably would have been like, oh, the adoption fee is this much, and like the sponsorship fee is this. And they say
it was a mix-up.
It was
a
mix-up.
They definitely do say it was a mix-up.
True, so it's still $5. Yeah, that's actually pretty great. Yeah. Good job.
Good
job, kid from Africa.
Getting that kid.
You gotta go on a free trip, pretty much.
Cartman called Stan a vas deferens at one point.
Yes, that was one of the insults. None of them knew what that
was, so Kenny had to explain it to them.
I love that Kenny always explains the words they don't understand.
Yes. He knows all about adult
things.
Terminology. Yeah. At school, the kids are ready to get the watch. They're like hyped up to get it. And Garrison tells them they're doing a canned food drive and asks the kids what a canned food drive is. And Cartman explains... Cartman...
I love this line. This is such a good line by Garrison, though, but go on.
Cartman explains the cesarean section.
For whatever
I don't know
reason.
why he got them mixed up.
A canned food? I still don't understand.
I think this was kind of a running bit they would do from time to time where Cartman would
just say something random.
Yeah, compared to what it was supposed to be.
To honor this special time of year, we'll be doing a canned food drive. Does anybody know what a canned food drive is? Yes, Eric?
When they cut up a chick's stomach to get a baby out?
No, that's a cesarean section, Eric, but that's okay. Remember, there are no stupid questions, just stupid people.
Just stupid people.
I love that.
Yeah. Again, that could be I don't know if that was on a t-shirt. That could be on a t-shirt. That could have been Garrison's slogan when he ran for president.
That really could have been.
That
would have been a great bring back. That would have been great.
Yeah. Cartman at some point, because like they go back and forth about how it's for the poor people in the town, mainly Kenny's family, and they're going to try to gather cans of food for them.
Right.
And Cartman asks why poor people smell like sour milk.
Yeah. And Garrison just kind of gets like confused.
He's just like I don't know.
I don't know.
Kyle smells Kenny though to see if he does smell like sour milk.
Right.
Rachel, in your history, do poor people smell like sour milk?
It's a very odd question, and I'm going to just.
She was like, I am going to not answer that question.
No.
Folks at home that are poor. What do you smell like? Do you smell like sour milk? It's like a Howard Stern bit. What do you smell like?
It does feel like a Howard Stern bit. I'm out. I'm out of this. Oh God. I don't want to be a part of that.
Oh, she's walking away again. Rachel's walking away from the.
Get out of here.
She's walking out of the studio. No, she's walking right out of the studio. I don't know what we're gonna do. Time is 6:58. We're getting ready for the news.
I didn't know how long you wanted me to just be gone and then I come back later.
So anyways, Wendy speaks up and she's lamenting the fact that none of them care about poor people. This is like the time of year where they're supposed to do something for the poor and they're supposed to do something nice. Cartman and Wendy then go back and forth, and I picked up on it about like the third line because I was like, oh, Cartman's just being an ass, being like, what about my taxes? And then I realized, like, after Wendy replies and Cartman goes back, I'm like, are they doing a Christmas Carol? And they are, because then Mr. Garrison's like, okay, kids, that's enough Dickens for one day. So they're just doing a Christmas Carol back and forth.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes. But, like, those first couple lines, it's like, oh, Cartman's just being, like, a conservative, cynical kind of guy, where he's like, yeah, and Wendy's being the liberal, like, do-gooder. You know what I mean? Like, they're...
Sure.
But then when you realize it's like, oh, this is just a Christmas Carol.
That's great. I like it. Good job. Good job sneaking that one in.
Yeah, definitely.
I just realized the alphabet is weird.
No, it's going forward one direction, it's going backwards the other direction, just so they can have an FU joke.
That's... Oh my god.
Yeah.
I didn't... Oh my god! Yeah. Seriously? Alright. Threw me off for a second there.
Before Garrison can continue his lesson about... Who does he say lands on the moon first?
Engelbert Humperdinck?
Engelbert Humperdinck.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, I think it does.
Engelbert Humperdinck. Yeah, that's... Yep, that's the name.
Okay, okay. He is a singer.
What?
I don't know what he did. I really don't. He's like a British singer from like back in the day. Like I think he's like old as hell at this point. So according to this, he did Spanish Eyes, Strangers in the Night, Wonderland by Night. So I mean, there are stuff that
they're always just randomly making fun of like musicians and stuff because they like music. They're musical people, but it's just funny when they just like throw a random musician or band.
The name Engelbert Humperdinck in there is as the first man that landed on the moon.
Yep.
But before he can get into this lesson, the turkeys storm into the room. They tear stuff up. And they just leave. It's like a shakedown. They come in to like and don't mess with us anymore.
Mess with stuff and like. Yeah, they rip the poster with the turkey on it that says "Eat Turkey."
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The mayor wants to do something clever to distribute the cans, and they're trying to come up with something that they can do that'll be fun and festive. And Mephisto shows up, saying he was medically
More
engineering.
Mephisto.
He was medically engineering turkeys,
Of course he was.
but so that they could be bigger or to feed the
I think it was like
homeless
to
or
feed
something.
more people for Thanksgiving or something. Yeah.
Well, because he ends up saying is like that they're multiplying and they're growing at a rapid rate, so he must have been like
Right.
trying to grow them bigger.
Yeah.
But they broke free, and they're really pissed off. And he's trying to explain the situation, but she thinks he's a nut, because he is.
Right.
So she keeps spinning the chair around to insult him,
Right.
and then kind of turns back to listen to him more. At some point, Mephisto is like, I don't think that you're taking me very seriously.
Well,
Which is
he
true.
did pick up on that one. Yeah.
The boys go to Cartman's to get the watch, but it isn't there yet. So they watch more Terrence and Phillip, the next part of the Thanksgiving special.
Of course.
At this point, the doorbell rings, and the watch isn't there. It's just a little Ethiopian kid
Yep.
and a suitcase.
Yeah. He's got a little suitcase and everything.
I kind of want to know what was in that suitcase. Like, what did Starvin Marvin bring with him?
I don't
Pictures?
know. Maybe, yeah. Maybe something where it's just like, things from home.
Something
he
of
doesn't
sentimental value.
Yeah, so he doesn't feel like
Yeah.
I was
Homesick.
stolen away from my home.
Well, he looks all happy about
Yeah,
it.
he's kind of, maybe
he's
he's like excited about the trip. That's true.
Yeah. So they ask him for his name. He responds in that Ethiopian, I can't remember what language it is, where it's like the clicks
Ooh.
and stuff.
The clicks, I'm not sure. There's a lot of different languages in Africa, so it's like really difficult to.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not a real language. It's them.
Right. Again.
Like you said with the German stuff. It's like they're just and Russian stuff. They're just making
They make
up.
Yeah, they're just
stuff.
mimicking the sound of the language to make fun of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But they think he said his name is Marvin. So they're like, Starvin Marvin, that's his name. And they name him Starvin Marvin. They greet him. They shake his hand. Cartman asks his mom if they can keep him. And she says, sure. So then the boys make arrangements to share him. They're all going to, like, take him for a week.
I love
at
that
a
they're
time.
just like excited about it. Like, we got a kid. This is fun.
And
like,
well, they're treating him like a dog, essentially.
pretty much.
Like, they're kind of saying, like, we'll all take him for 1 week, but not Kenny because he's too poor. So he can't raise another kid. I can tell Rachel's looking for that Ethiopian language.
The clicking noise is like the one that actually it's like a throat noise that they can make. I don't.
Yeah.
It's like
I
impossible.
think you
for
have
us.
to. Yeah, you have
it's
to.
It's made in the back of their
learn it.
throat, but it's the I'm not gonna say it right. Kosan. Khoisan. It's KHOISAN languages, and it's like a ton
Khoisan.
of different that's like the embodiment of
That's
those
the
like
type of
types of language. Yeah, where it's
Okay.
like coming from the throat. The
Yeah.
click consonants is what it's called. So it's very interesting to me. But yeah. Now I'm like, I could go down a rabbit hole like learning about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that one's that one. It says it's almost impossible to imitate it for an English speaker.
Yeah, because our voices just were not formed to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Right? They do a pretty good job of it. Like, it sounds like something.
It sounds similar. It sounds like
Yeah.
similar to how we would probably like hear it.
Hear it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure, again, it's probably gobbledygook, but
Oh,
like,
of course, yeah.
at least is getting that idea. Like, if you did French and you did or whatever,
Yeah.
like, it's the same idea. There's a couple at Stark's Pond that are on, like, some sort of date or walk or something, and they get
It's
attacked
so
by the turkeys.
random. Oh, isn't
It's-
it beautiful? Ah, yes, but not as beautiful as you. Oh, but isn't that beautiful? And then
Yes,
they get
it's-
attacked.
They're doing that, yes. They do that a few times, and then they get attacked. Just to show that the turkeys are continuing their rampage.
Yeah, definitely. It's just such a like a silly thing.
The boys and their families take Marvin to a buffet. And I think that, I mean, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. I think that this was just to show Marvin, to like take him, almost
Take
like
him out and like a welcome.
like, let's take him somewhere, something that would be like, he'd be like in awe of.
Sure.
Which is a buffet, an American buffet. Because
this food would be so horrible for this kid.
Oh, he'd be shitting bricks.
He'd be so sick. It actually might,
he'd
like,
be
really
terribly
hurt
sick.
him.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it would just be so rich for him. Like, he'd have to
Yeah.
work up to this.
Right. Well, they always
But
say
I
that
get-
when you're, like, in a starving state, you can't just, like, devour too much food or it could kill you. So it's, like, interesting because it's just, like, yeah, you definitely would just be like, here's, like, some really simple meals. Not, like,
Yeah.
here's this American rich-ass food that's gonna, like, just make you feel ill.
But this is South Park.
Of
So,
course.
of course.
Well, he doesn't really
And
eat either, so...
He doesn't really eat either, so, like, Cartman explains to him the concept of appetizers. I do enjoy the fact that Starvin Marvin becomes disgusted and horrified
Well,
by the gluttony and excess
exactly.
of the buffet. Yeah, he
Exactly,
is
'cause
like,
they're, like,
what
throwing away
is
food.
this? Yeah. Because it would just be unheard of for him. Now, I don't throw. Rachel can attest to the fact that I am a cheap man.
This is very true.
Especially and food is no exception. I do not like wasting any food. If I cannot finish the
I'm
plate
not
at
a
a
big fan
restaurant,
of wasting food either.
I know some people that don't do what I do though, where it's like, or you would do, where it's like, nope, you gotta save the leftovers.
Well, yeah,
We're gonna
that's
get
your
through them all.
lunch.
Yeah.
That's your lunch
Some
for the
people
next
just
day, or like another
Let-
lunch and a half.
Let the server take it back and stuff. The biggest problem I would have is like on a date, because like it's hard to ask for a to go on a date.
Oh, I never had an
That's,
issue with that.
Yeah, but you're a girl. It's different. As a guy, it feels like a, oh, you couldn't finish it kind of thing. You almost have to like get something really light on the first couple of dates before they get your personality.
I guess so. I guess if
Because like otherwise, the girl's like taking a to-go bag. I guess it depends. Now, if the girl is for me, she'll be right on board with it. But that's
That's true. Maybe that's a good way to weed out the people, Kevin. You go on a
Get
date,
that
you
to-go.
get your to-go box and see how they react.
That's right.
Also, is your girl going to get a salad or is she going to get an actual meal? Does that matter?
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Whatever the hell she wants to eat is totally fine.
Yeah, I don't care. She can be vegan. She can be a meat eater. I don't give a fuck. As long as she doesn't care what I eat, I don't give a shit what she eats. So, the whole table laughs at Cartman's joke about Kenny's family being poor, which I thought was also funny because, like, again, they're like trying to, like, this whole thing is subtle.
It's subtle and not
commentary.
Yeah.
It is. It is kind of subtle enough commentary. I also like that because they haven't figured out how to frame a circular table or a square table. They're all eating
the Last Supper style.
Last Supper style. Yeah. We get one of Cartman's running gags as well here because Starvin Marvin is like gonna go touch the pot pie, and Cartman goes, "No, Starvin Marvin, this is my pot pie," and then he's like, maybe I'll just take a little bit of your peach cobbler.
Because Stan tells him you're supposed to share.
Yeah.
And then Cartman goes, oh yeah, so you should share your pie with me. And it's like, God damn it, Cartman.
Marvin picks up pretty quickly that Cartman is, like, the worst of us.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, Starvin Marvin, that's my pet pie. Cartman, you butt pipe. This is the time of year you're supposed to share. Oh yeah, you're right. Are you gonna eat all of your peach cobbler? No, you don't want all that. Why don't you share it with me? Let me just have some of that.
Back at school, Mr. Garrison is disappointed at the canned food drive because they've only collected 3 cans of creamed corn, and Kenny's family is going to have a pretty corny Thanksgiving.
And then he laughs at his own joke.
Yes, very, very much. The boys brought in Starvin Marvin for show and tell, and he tries to take the corn. So then Cartman's like, "No, Marvin, this is Kenny's creamed corn." And so he does the same bit.
Yeah, they're really going after Kenny in this one. Kenny just kind of lets it happen.
Kenny gets it, pretty bad about being
He gets it
poor
real
in this
bad.
one. I think, again, because part of the theme of this episode is the phoniness
Oh, yeah.
of some humanitarianism.
Well, because,
Folks
like,
at home,
even...
you should be doing good, and you should be giving your time and money
Year-round.
and effort. There's definitely some people that do it just for clout or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's like even when like, Wendy, like you said, like Wendy at the beginning, she says you have to be nice to like. It's something about this time of year is when you should care about people who can't.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not even like like this is like a time where you're supposed to be like thinking about and like actually helping people and blah blah blah. It's like no, this is the only time of year you're supposed to think about those people who don't eat food.
Well, yeah, like if they would have said at the very least this time of year is,
Right.
but it's like, no, this is when you are actually supposed to think about them, yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's where it's like, is it just that, like, there's that phoniness of humanitarianism where people do it to feel good about themselves, and they really are kind of looking down upon the people that they're helping.
Yeah.
At the same time, they're not really
Kenny.
viewing it as, like Kenny. Like, they're making fun of Kenny.
They're making fun of Kenny, but also saying, but see, like, we're collecting these things for you, but you're poor and you can't do these things. But hey, we're doing this for you. Like, it's, it's very, I don't even know how to explain it now.
Just kind of how it is how people kind of act. I mean,
it's true.
They're poking at that. They're definitely poking at do-gooders. Like, that's part of South Park's MO, right? Like, they're gonna poke at everybody, and they're poking at people that are still trying to do good. Garrison, surprisingly to me, actually realizes that the fact that they have Starvin Marvin is wrong, and that they shouldn't have Starvin Marvin.
Like, why is he here? Like,
yeah. So he's like, I'm gonna call the Red Cross to try to fix all of this.
Right. All the other kids, though, do want to adopt a child as well, which is very interesting.
They're like, oh, that'd be fun to just have this little African child around.
Yeah.
So they're like, we'll get our own Starvin Marvins. The boys are taken to the principal's office, and she tries to explain to them, and this gets back to the point that we were making too, where she says that you're not supposed to care about these kids or think about them or have them in your life, I think is the phrase that she uses.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to send money once in a while, and then every once in a while they send back a letter.
Yeah, because then she even says, like, I send my $5 a month, and then, like, she has the watch or whatever, and and it's like...
But the boys then question it in the way where it's like, well, he's here now, why can't he just stay? He's already here, what's the problem?
Mm-hmm.
And her response is just like, well, it's not normal for him to stay. Like, he can't stay because it's just, this isn't where he belongs. And that's where she's, like, gets defensive, and she's like, look, I send my $5 a month. So the point, again, is, like, what's the problem? Like, if he can stay, like,
if he can, if he wants to.
Oh, because because they're like, well, kids can't take care of another kid.
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
their
well,
whole
why don't you
point.
Take care of them then?
Oh yeah, that's right. She said
like,
she doesn't want to. She can't.
She doesn't want to.
Yeah, well, no, she can't. She doesn't have time for that, and she already gives her $5 a month. So
right, yeah. If the kids, if somebody's willing to take care of them, no. You just give them the $5 and let them
stay in their
the
way that they live.
Mephisto has brought in Chef to the
Chef
genetics.
is the only one who's going to listen to him.
And that's exactly why I brought him in. Like, Chef at this point he's been ready for the zombie apocalypse.
That's
he
right.
knows about aliens. He knew about Scuzzlebutt. So, like, Chef's the go-to guy in this
That's
case.
Right.
I thought it was funny that he just goes, what is this? And not even the Vanessa Redgrave part, but the this is turkey DNA. Like Chef can identify turkey DNA sight on sound.
Of course. Well, they look like turkeys, but then spirally.
Yes.
So of course it's easy to spot turkey DNA.
So Mephisto and Chef are going to go warn the town about the mutant turkeys. In the meantime, Marvin is watching television at Cartman's house, because Cartman's got him for the week. And the feds come in to take Starvin Marvin back. So they're asking him, excuse me, little boy, is there a little African child that was brought here by mistake?
Yep.
And at this point, Marvin's like, kind of want to stick this out a little longer. And this Cartman guy sucks. So he just points at Eric.
I'm also wondering if he wants him to go so he gets to walk in his shoes type of deal. I want you to go
that would be
see what it's like.
That'd be a heck of a plan by Marvin.
Just saying.
I thought it was... I mean, I like that idea. I think he's just doing it of like, I'm going to stick around a little bit longer.
No, screw this kid. I want to stay.
Yeah. And Cartman sucks, so I'll send him back. But I like your idea of, like, trying to teach Cartman a lesson.
A little bit, yeah.
That does not work, but...
Of course not, because it's Cartman.
So the feds, like, they put him in a sack.
They do!
Which is pretty funny. And then they give Starvin Marvin the watch. They're like, here's your watch, by the way. And I laughed. I actually audibly laughed at this part, because Marvin just goes... Sweet.
Yes,
like,
he copies Cartman.
He does Cartman sweet.
Hello there, little boy. We're looking for a starving African child who was accidentally sent here instead of a Takeo sports watch.
Hey! Hey, what's going on? Let go of me! Hey, kick you in the nuts!
Here's your sports watch, son. Sorry for the mix-up.
Sweet.
Because he's learning English based on Cartman.
This is true. Oh yeah, because he learned the word appetizer when they went to the buffet. He said appetizer.
He was learning how to talk from Cartman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At the food drive, they've decided
So stupid.
like, I wonder if these things are still around. I remember there was a little amusement park for kids.
Yes.
Where if it was your birthday, you
Yes.
could go into. I don't know if this is a thing around the
Where
world.
you
or not. I'm
like
sure-
grab the papers and like the money and stuff and
Yeah. So you could grab it was basically a phone booth, and they would turn it on and there'd be this like gust of wind that would shoot all of this like dollar bills in the air and stuff.
Right.
And you would walk in and whatever you could grab from the air and like keep in your hand you could keep. And it was always like done with cash. Trey and Matt said on the commentary that they did that a couple of years for like their holiday party, where like everybody would like throw $1 in and then they would throw in like $100 or something like that.
Sure.
And then like somebody would just get to do it, and then they got like a little bit of flack for it from Comedy Central or something because they said like Trey and Matt just want to watch poor people like grab money, and
Wow,
and of course
okay.
on the commentary they go which we did, but somebody got $70, and they were like, yeah, I'd go in there for $70. I don't care what it is. So anyway, they're doing that, which I don't remember what that thing is called, but that's what it was.
Yeah, I don't know what it.
I
like,
wonder
it's-
if it still exists. I want to do it.
They used
still.
to have them
like
like game shows and stuff too.
Yeah, I never did it. I kind of want.
They had it
to,
at like that
do
one
it
little
as an
amusement
adult.
park that we used to live by, and
Yeah, if they did it at work, if like that was the way to get your like, to get like a bonus or like a Christmas bonus or whatever,
My
like I would do
God.
it. Put me in the fucking tube. I'll try to grab the money. I don't care.
shoving it down your pants and everything.
Yeah, I'll degrade myself. I don't fucking care. But instead of cash, they have cans of food. Which
Yes.
I think would hurt like hell, because they would just start spinning around.
It
in
would
there.
be spinning around and smacking you. You'd oh my god. I mean, obviously they wouldn't even probably be picked up by the air. If it
No,
was,
they
then
wouldn't.
so
No,
would
it would
be.
have to be like a fucking tornado to pick
Yes.
these things up.
No, I think they
before-
do have those at museums where you can go in and you can feel what a tornado.
Oh yeah, we've been
wind
to one of
feels
those.
like.
We didn't go. Did we ever
I
go?
don't
did we
think I've
go
ever been
in?
inside one. I don't think I ever.
Because we went a couple of years ago. You and I went into like the tornado exhibit at
Yes.
the museum, but
Yeah.
it didn't like do the gust of. Oh no, maybe
They
we just
showed
didn't
what
walk
it
through
looks
that.
like.
Yeah,
But then there's
yeah.
also a spot that you could like go inside the booth and you could feel the wind. And it's like, well, but yeah. So like that's what it kind of reminded me of, was like it has to be that strong to
Yeah,
pick up cans and
that's
you
strong,
with that
for sure.
too.
Mhm. Before they can do the can drive event, the turkeys attack. Chef and Mephisto are like, we warned you, Mayor, and the Mayor's like, well, we set up a bit of a protocol here, and the protocol is just the defense squad, which is Jimbo and Ned
Right.
with their rifles.
Yep.
And they just start gunning down some of the turkeys.
Yeah,
But
they just go
Mephisto
hunting.
is, yeah. But Mephisto, I thought there was a missed opportunity for a joke for them to accidentally shoot, like, I guess they need Kenny for later on.
True.
So
yeah.
they couldn't kill Kenny here, so never mind. And it's not probably as good as how Kenny dies later. So Mephisto's like, we need more. Like, they're just going to keep multiplying. They're going to keep growing. So it can't just be these two rednecks with their guns. Marvin is watching Terrence and Phillip.
Yep. The
He's
next
he's
episode.
He's taken Cartman's place. Yeah,
Pretty
because this is like a
much.
14-part Thanksgiving special. There's a couple of really funny parts in this. One is that the commercial comes back on, except for this time Cartman is just yelling in the background
Yes.
for help.
So it's almost like it's live. Like these are live
Yeah, it's like a
commercials
live commercial.
where she's talking about these kids and Cartman is just running around like wanting to go home. And said something about this sucks, get me out of here. Like
And then Eric's mom asks Marvin if he wants some cheesy poofs.
You want some more cheesy poofs, hon?
Yeah, I want that cheesy poof.
Okay.
Sweet.
A
with
more
the
African
accent, yeah.
And
And
then
wanting
he
the
does
cheesy
a-
poofs.
And then he does another sweet.
It's hilarious. I love it.
It's
Because
so
he learned
good.
these phrases from Cartman.
Yeah. Cartman is being Cartman
Yes.
in impoverished Ethiopia.
Yep.
So he's like
that's all you have
trying-
to know.
So yeah, I mean that speaks for itself. Picture Cartman in Ethiopia, stranded, and you got yourself a scene. I like when the Ethiopians can't figure out what he's trying to say.
Right.
So he just goes, "Well, screw you guys," or "Screw you too."
Yeah, that's great. Just screw you too. Because it's like, well, no, they don't understand you. You don't understand them. It's like, it's going to be a little confusing.
Kenny finally goes in and gets a can of green beans. Out of all of that, he only got one can.
Yeah,
but
one.
At the same
I mean,
time, it's
that's
like,
what I would expect.
It would be hard to grab more than one can in there.
Right. And I think everybody just expected him to die in that machines. But he doesn't. He doesn't. Surprisingly.
This is one of my favorite moments. I couldn't remember which episode it was in. I wasn't even sure if it was in this season, so I'm glad that we got to this moment. So Chef decides that he has to tell everyone to prepare for this turkey fight. And in the middle of him doing this, he just stops dead. Because Mephisto's little mini-me thing is on the stage with him.
Yes.
Go to your homes and arm your... What the hell are you supposed to be anyway?
That's not important right now.
No! What the hell is this little thing supposed to be?
It's such a great moment, and they time it so perfectly between Chef looking down at this little mini-me clone.
Mini-me, yeah.
And the little clone looking back up at Chef.
Right.
It just goes back and forth
and the
between
silence.
them. Yeah, and the silence. I love that moment. It's such a South Park type of humor that they just let the moment linger for a second there.
Right.
He does tell everyone, though, to go home and get tools to fight the turkeys.
Mm-hmm.
Cartman is hungry, and he finds the Red Cross, and he asks the Red Cross for fried chicken and a side of mashed potatoes, please.
Of course.
But the Red Cross say that they are leaving because they don't have enough
because they're
funding.
out of food. Yeah.
Yeah, they're out of funding, they're out of food, and so they have to leave. But they throw him a watch. So he gets the watch that he wanted, and he's all pissed off. So I thought this was interesting. If you're watching it on the Max, you actually get the effect. If you're watching it like on the DVD, like I did, it looks really weird because you already get the box screen on the DVDs. It goes to widescreen.
It does.
Because they're doing a Braveheart. They clearly just wanted to do like a Braveheart riff. So it goes to widescreen to do this like epic battle.
Yes.
So all the townspeople have come back with different weaponry.
Yes, of various things.
Like rakes and brooms and
I think there's a lamp. There's like a wood with nail in it type of thing, and a baguette. I think is somebody's holding.
Ah, a baguette. That'll work. You let a baguette sit out long enough, you can kill somebody with a baguette.
Become a bat.
Yeah. I've bitten down into breads that could kill a man. So Chef, because they're like, there's too many of them. Like, how are we supposed to stop all these turkeys? So Chef decides to go full Braveheart.
Yes.
And he's on a horse. He's painted the blue and white stripes.
He's wearing a kilt.
Yeah, so for those folks at home who have never seen Braveheart, that's what this scene is. It's just a full-on Braveheart parody. And then the joke, of course, is that the turkeys are doing the same thing. So they've got a turkey that's dressed up as Braveheart, and he's doing a gobble, gobble, gobble. And I guarantee that's what the Jerry Seinfeld thing would have been.
He would have been doing the speech. It would have been great. It would have been great.
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld's agent.
Yeah, screw that agent.
Yeah, you ruined a great fucking moment.
How dare you?
Idiot.
How dare you look out for Jerry's well-being? How dare you?
So a battle ensues, but in the meantime, Cartman has basically collapsed in the middle of like a dirt road in Ethiopia. He's like, my God, why have you forsaken me? Because
he was kind of starting to learn. He was doing like I'm sorry I wasn't sensitive. And I take it back. And then he
I wonder how much
it all
he
away.
meant it. Yeah.
Well, second he gets what he wants, you know.
as is usual for
Right.
Cartman. So he kind of looks up and he sees that there is a building there that he hasn't like spotted before.
Sure.
And he, because I don't know how long Cartman's been there, but like he's already, he's Cartman. So
It could have been like a few hours. It could have been a couple of days. I don't know, because it's Cartman.
But he goes into this building and there's a bunch of food in there. I like that the score kind of perks up and
Yes.
Cartman's like, snacky cakes, and like all this stuff is in there just in droves for him. And we find that Sally Struthers has been hoarding a bunch of food.
Right.
She's eating cake in there. She's getting fanned.
Yeah, fanned by a couple of Ethiopian like people, and
So there's a little bit of back and forth, and then Cartman decides to take matters into his own hands because he leaves the building and he shouts to like the village that he's by, and he's like, Sally Struthers is holding out on us. She's got a bunch of food in here. Sally Struthers like freaks out about it and starts like trying to devour as much food as she can.
Right.
She knows that they're gonna
bust in there, and
they're gonna take her down. I think the original intent was probably that they were gonna like eat her or something.
Oh my gosh. That would have been dark.
Yeah, I think it would have been too dark. So in the battle, there's a bunch of different things happening. There's different. I particularly enjoyed the part where Ike decapitates a turkey.
Of course, yeah.
I liked that little moment. The turkeys peck Kenny's eyes out, and that's how they kill Kenny.
Yep.
This whole time, Marvin's just looking on from like a hillside.
Right.
Like,
yeah, he's just kind of like watching.
What is this? Yeah.
Is this what they do every year? They go to battle with the turkey? Is this what Thanksgiving's about?
Is this what Thanksgiving is? Yeah, sort of. Okay, now that you've brought this up.
Okay.
Maybe this is what we should be doing.
Ooh.
We handicap the turkey somehow, and then if you want that turkey...
I think turkeys are pretty damn strong already, but yeah.
They are, and they're vicious as shit.
You actually have to fight a turkey?
You gotta fight a turkey. You can take
We're
that
gonna have the
turkey
turkey
down.
army versus the humans, and then...
That's right.
Good
Yeah.
lord.
You earn that turkey. Now, turkey is pretty good. I'll give it to the turkey. It tastes pretty good.
Yes. Especially when it's
But
made well and it's, like, nice. Yeah. Dry
But
turkey isn't very good.
South Park will do a few turkey-related Thanksgiving episodes. Gobbles. You remember Gobbles, Rachel?
I do remember Gobbles, yes.
Yeah,
Gobbles.
where they do take... Yeah, exactly. They do take on the... They do a scene where they show you how those turkeys are treated that you're probably eating for Thanksgiving, where they just saw off a million heads at once.
I mean,
It's one of those...
okay, sad story, but last Thanksgiving I did see the truck of turkeys.
Oh, no.
It was really, like, sad, and I didn't like it, because it was just, like, a big truck, and it had a bunch of holes in it. The worst part to me was that they didn't have it covered, because I don't think they were dead yet, and feathers were coming out of it. And it was horrifying to me that that's how they were treating the animal, like, before we ate them, because I'm just like,
Yeah, that's my thing with it, too. I wish... I wish and I hope.
Least. Like,
And maybe there
give
is
them a
something
good
out
life
there.
before
like,
they die. Like, something.
Exactly. I just want them to have a good life before they die. I'm not going to stop eating the meat because it's too damn good. I'm sorry, animals.
No, and
But-
typically, like, I don't think that's, like, the norm. Like,
like how they're
animal
treated.
endangered. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's, like, typical anymore, but...
Yeah. Well, that's all I ask. I just want them to have a good life before they're... I know that they're being raised to slaughter, and that's still...
It's still, like, hurtful and just...
bad.
It feels bad.
I just
but
want
I mean, at the
something
same time...
more humane.
Yeah.
Even if it costs more, fine. But, like,
I want a
let me know that,
happy-ass
like...
turkey.
Yeah. A happy-ass turkey is going to be way better to eat than a stressed-out turkey.
That's right.
You don't want to eat a stressed-out turkey. That meat's going to taste terrible.
Yeah, that's why I think
It's gonna
they
be all
actually probably
stringy.
do, but... I kind of wish there was
So-
a company called the Happy Ass Turkey, and that's what they do, is that, like, they, like,
Oh, no,
pamper the
that's
turkeys,
interesting.
and then
Yeah.
that's how they...
You still... what's the score of the game, folks at home? How's it going?
Is it going well? Is your team winning?
So anyway, where are we? The battle ends, the last 3 turkeys are getting away, and Ned and Jimbo shoot the last turkeys, and the humans won. So there's a bunch of dead turkeys all over the place. And some dead people too, of course, because it's South Park, and you need to have bodies strewn about. And the feds come back because they realize that they grabbed the wrong person.
Yes.
So they're like...
And they find the right kid this time.
Well, because this time, they're like, has anybody seen this child? And they show a picture of Starvin Marvin.
Right.
Is it Bar Brady that says, that could be 100 different kids in this town? Which is
it is.
A great little joke. But then Marvin comes up and says,
he's
hey,
pretty much like, hey,
me.
I'm here. Like, I don't really need this turkey versus human war
Yes.
affair that's going on.
Yeah. I like that the turn is that Marvin is like, I'd rather be starving at
home with my family and my friends
in Ethiopia than in this fucked up country where
they throw away food and they fight turkeys to the death. Like, what is this? But
yeah, I think it's funny.
But as he's leaving, he does pick up a turkey.
He does pick up a turkey, and he gets an idea.
I do also like that Kyle likes him more than Cartman. I mean, all of us do. Like, all of us do.
Yeah, Kyle's upset because he's like, I kind of liked him more than Cartman. And Kyle and Stan tell you their lesson of the day, which is that even like the images on TV are real people, and it can be easy to forget that they are real people.
Which is a good lesson. That's a good thing to understand, is that people are real.
And it's something that we've completely forgotten about, even worse now because of the internet, where it's like you're bombarded with information about billion people, and you can't... It's very, very hard for your brain to decipher that that's a real person, and
right.
You have to treat them like a real person. It's just nearly impossible to be able to do for a lot of people to like empathize at that high of a level.
Right.
I don't do it, a lot either. It's, something you have to work on. But it's a fair lesson. Cartman, back in Ethiopia, is excited because they're like, yeah, we made a mistake. We'll let you get back home. And Cartman's like, great, perfect. Get out of my way. I'm American. I love that he says. And Marvin comes back. Trey on the commentary said that his mom cried at this part.
Oh.
And he was like, she actually cried at the South Park episode, and he said, yeah, so she realized that we could actually like touch some hearts depending on how we do things and still be South Park.
Right.
Because Marvin gets off the plane. You want to tell what happens here?
Yes. One, there's a woman with an Ike-looking baby, which I just thought was really interesting.
I thought that was funny too.
I didn't know if that was like them trying to figure out like, oh, okay, this is how we're gonna draw babies, and then
babies, yeah.
And then they're like, wait, no,
and then
this is just Canadians.
Yeah.
Marvin gets off the plane, tells them to open the back, and out comes all of the turkeys. Like, look what I brought. I brought us food and like a feast, like a meal.
They're gonna have a Thanksgiving feast of themselves,
and they are like praising him, and they're all excited that he's home and that he brought that with. And what's her face is hogtied and
it's hogtied. Yeah, it has an apple in her mouth. See, like if they took it like a little bit further to like have like her on like a pit.
That's true.
I could see them
I think maybe that's what she's like tied to. Then it's not just her tied up. It's she's like being roasted like a pig.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what it is.
It's a Vince McMahon laugh. But yeah, like Marvin gets to be the hero, and then in a bizarre ending scene.
Yeah.
I don't know why they included this. They could have just ended it on Marvin being the hero.
Yeah, because now it's like, they want it to be sad.
They wanted it to be like a joke, and I think that they were like, that's too positive for South Park. So there's an ending scene where Kenny's family is getting ready to eat the green beans.
Yes.
And they're doing grace, and then at the end, Kenny's mom is like, does anybody have a can opener? Yeah. And they're like, shit. And then it's because they don't have a can opener. And that's how the episode ends.
Do they ever bring back Kenny's brother? That's like...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In fact...
Like, I don't remember him having siblings, so that was like...
At some point, he also has a little sister, but that's more when we get into the Mysterion days.
Okay, I kind of remember the little sister a little bit more. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but he always has a like little brother and little sister, I think.
Sure.
So, that is the end of Starvin Marvin. Rachel,
yes.
What did you think of Starvin Marvin?
I do think this one's enjoyable. I think it's kind of it does like heavy-handed push like issues with certain stuff, like you said. Like it is subtle, but at the same time it's not. So at least you're gonna pick up on it, at least what they're talking about, which is really nice. But at the same time, it is funny. There are like silly jokes that you can laugh at, and it ends nice. Marvin does a good thing for his family. Yeah.
You know, for me, like, this isn't as good as Pink Guy, but I totally understand what you're saying, and I get your point. Like, it's still enjoyable. It's got good bits. It's still funny. It's still fun. Marvin is a good character.
He's funny.
Like, I'm glad that they did bring him back. They should have brought him back a little bit more. I wish that he'd come back in like the modern times.
Yeah,
too.
that would be fun.
He's a good conduit for showing just how much of an ass Cartman can be and how much of an ass America can be.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, like, it's not subtle, but it's still decently subtle enough in like what you can take away from it as far as humanitarianism, excess, gluttony, how people treat
actually caring
others.
for each other's.
Yeah. So it's got its moments. It's a good episode. Seeing Cartman walk around in agony in Ethiopia is funny too.
Right.
So yes,
get a little comeuppance, even though it doesn't change him too much.
yeah, good stuff in the Starvin Marvin episode. Happy Thanksgiving to you all that are coming back to listen again to this episode on Thanksgiving. Enjoy the turkey. Enjoy your pumpkin pie. Enjoy your peach cobbler.
Have a piece for me. I love pumpkin pie.
I love pumpkin pie. One year our Munch Madness is going to be pies.
Oh, it has to be.
Yeah. We'll do that at some talk about gluttony. Our Munch Madness is just a celebration of that too. Have a good Thanksgiving. We will continue though here on this Shelf Life episode. We're going to the next holiday.
Yep.
Well, you'll be coming right back here in a month if you're listening to this on Thanksgiving, because we are going to learn about our friend and Rachel's favorite character in the pantheon of fiction.
Don't tell them.
Mr. Hankey the Christmas Poo. When we come back after a word from our short sponsor.
I hope it's a short sponsor. I hope it's the little man in the bikini.
Say, kids, why the long faces?
We're bored. There's nothing to do.
Well, maybe this will help.
That's right, kids. Now you can make your very own Mr. Hankey. Just use the special fecal fishing net and select your best Mr. Hankey.
That one!
Then use the handcrafted Hankey stand to add whatever eyes, mouth, and hats you want.
I made a mariachi, Mr. Hankey. Now it's a Mrs. Hankey. Let's put the fez hat on him. I wish Daddy was still alive.
Mr. Hankey playset comes with everything seen here.
Hey, where's Mr. Hankey?
Mr. Hankey playset.
I love you, sweetheart.
I love you too.
And we're back! Happy holidays! I hope you're in the holiday spirit, Rachel.
Always in the holiday spirit.
Even though we are recording this at the exact opposite time for the holidays, we are still in the holiday spirit. We are back here with another episode from South Park Season 1. Rachel, what episode are we discussing today?
We are introducing the...
Rachel's favorite character in fiction.
Yeah, my favorite character in fiction. We are introducing a little brown man known as Mr. Hankey the Christmas Poo.
The Christmas Poo. Yes. Rachel, I was going to just say, instead of welcome back, I was going to say Heidi Ho, but I was like, I can't do that.
Ho!
I guess I could do that, and then we could decide on it later. Heidi Ho! And we're back. All right, so anyway. Rachel, what happens in Mr. Hankey the Christmas Poo?
The town fights because religion and holiday season. Yes, that's pretty much what that is.
Pretty much, yep.
And then Kyle is going insane because he's talking to a piece of poo. And nobody believes him that he's real.
Right, yes.
That's about it.
Yes, nobody believes Kyle when he tells him that Mr. Hankey the Christmas Poo is real. So
it's also a musical, so there's songs.
And it's the first musical, really, of the show. And it is, as we kind of said offline, it is like their strength. They're very, very good at doing musicals. They've won Tony Awards for
They're very enjoyable. They're
so
very enjoyable.
it is interesting to kind of have that dynamic in the show. It's, of course, a Christmas episode, which goes back to their roots of being a Christmas-inspired show, with it being a Christmas
That's
card.
true.
That
I didn't even
inspired
think
the
about
show.
that. Right. Yeah.
So they take Christmas very seriously at South Park. So 2 things about this one. One is, I mean, the theme of this episode, of course, is like political correctness, religious sensitivity, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Which is interesting because listening to like the commentary and stuff, and I'm sure that their views might have changed a little bit, because like you could see someone watching this that does like the War on Christmas thing and being like, see, they're right, or whatever.
Sure.
But I think their point of view is more that Christmas really isn't religious.
Christmas has changed.
I think that's their point.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, it came from a religion, right? But it's more so the kind of togetherness, the fun, the being nice to each other, being neighborly is more so how Christmas kind of turned into.
Right. They are talking about more of the secular nature of Christmas, the presents and food.
Yeah,
and,
right.
That stuff.
Yes.
Where it's like, yeah, there is a religious aspect to it.
There's
there
multiple
should
religions
be.
around that same time, too.
Right. But they're talking about more of this, like, everyone should just enjoy the secular nature of a lot of the Christmas stuff. I know people that are not religious, that are not Christian or Catholic or whatever, like a Christo religion, and still do Christmas stuff.
Yes.
Because it's just...
It's
Why
just
would
kind
you
of
not?
like it's kind of just a nice thing to do. You get the lights, you get the food, you get like together and like the presents, and it's just kind of like a nice, like warm thing to do with each other. It doesn't have to be religious.
And you can incorporate the other religions into it. We'll talk about, stay tuned, a community episode that does that down the line as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of the same plot.
That's true.
So like the conclusion is the same, where it's like, oh, we're all different religions, but let's just celebrate Christmas.
But we can celebrate together. Yeah. You can incorporate your stuff. It'll be fun. Like, incorporate your stuff and we'll all do it together. Like, that's totally fine.
Make a big giant, because it's like the one day. Well, we'll get it because Mr. Hankey tells that speech.
Yes.
So Rachel, I have, for your entire life, from December 17th, 1997 until now, you have hated Mr. Hankey. Can you explain your hatred for Mr. Hankey?
I don't hate him. I think he just annoys me. He's just kind of like, oh, great, here comes the piece of poo again. Like,
Is it because he's a poo?
I think it's partially because he is poo. I can't get over
folks
the fact
at home.
that he's
Rachel is
poo.
like, she's got her hands clasped, like she's trying to, like, in a very educational manner, explain why she doesn't like Mr. Hankey. She's like, now, here's my thesis on why I don't like Mr. Hankey.
Okay, he's a piece of poo.
Because you don't.
It is maybe his voice.
Okay,
I don't know.
The voice thing. I think it's got to be more because he's poo. Because do you hate Towley?
No, Towley makes me laugh.
And it's the same voice.
That's kind of true. Towley's just stupid and kind of just there every once in a while. Mr. Hankey, like, forces himself at you.
It's because he's poo and he's very jovial. Is that the...
I guess.
He's a little too in your face.
He's fine. There's episodes where I don't mind him, but it's just like, I don't know.
So this is gonna
It's just my
this will be
feelings.
interesting to go through this one, because it being a Christmas episode, the nostalgia can be higher on this one because they play it every Christmas.
Right.
As I'm sure you're listening to this around Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to all of the listeners
Happy
out
Hanukkah.
there. I mean, this episode's even first publishing at an appropriate time to be.
Look,
able
we
to
did
start.
it right this time.
That's right. We planned Volume 3 around the calendar. We're not ever going to do that again, but we planned this volume around the calendar. And even then, it's like, this is beginning of November, but it's still an appropriate time to start
it's still
listening.
yes,
Starvin
it's
Marvin
the holiday
and this.
season.
It's the holiday season. Ba-doop-be-doo. Ba-doop-ba-dee-da. Okay, I'll stop. So, Mr.
We just
Hankey-
lost everybody because they can't stand Christmas music.
Mr. Hankey was one of Trey and Matt's ideas for the show. They said that like they really wanted Mr. Hankey to be more of the main character or a main character of the show, and like South Park would be there as well, but Mr. Hankey would be around all the time. And Mr.
Like all
Hankey,
the time?
well, a lot more. Like he'd be
Oh,
a
okay.
more main character than what he is.
Interesting.
But he was also something from Trey's childhood, because when Trey was a little kid, he just wouldn't flush the toilet. I can't remember if this is Trey or Matt. It's one of them. He wouldn't flush the toilet when he was a little kid. So his dad, to get him to flush the toilet, told him that the poo could, if you don't flush the toilet, poo comes to life. And
that's
he would
horrifying.
call the poo Mr. Hankey.
That's gross.
So that to get Trey to flush the toilet.
That's gross and scary, and I don't like it.
So that stuck with him, and it became, so then he would start drawing a anthropomorphic turd.
I'm so not surprised that this actually comes from like a story in their lives, though. Either
Yeah.
it makes sense.
And then Matt in the commentary says something about like they were at a McDonald's in New York or something like that. He was like, I specifically remember eating a sausage McMuffin, and us being like, yes, we're going to do something with Mr. Hankey. And he's like, he goes, I want to buy a plaque and like put it there, just like hang it out and put it like on the ground, like at this spot in 1993, Mr. Hankey was.
Oh, good God.
You'd have to go to that spot then, Rachel.
Well, I guess,
since you
yeah.
love Mr. Hankey. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about Mr. Hankey the Christmas Poo. The episode debuted on December 17th, 1997. Parker and Stone doing all of the work for writing and directing. Their studio, of course, doing the animation. I don't want to say they did all the work. Anyway, different start to the show here. We don't get the traditional going down to South Park song. It starts with kids in a choir. They're singing
Yes.
We Wish You a Merry Christmas. And the title says A South Park Christmas instead
Yes.
of just South Park. It's A South Park Christmas.
Ah.
This is part of their thing with, they watched the Peanuts Christmas, or Charlie Brown Christmas, as almost inspiration. They said they thought it was very boring, but the whole
we have
idea
to have
is
it more
that
exciting. Mr. Hankey is way more exciting.
they're kind of doing a send up of that. So Stan starts giving a speech, I think from a gospel reading, and then they cut to the nativity scene, and they're doing
Yeah,
a
I
nativity
think
play.
it is like when you do the nativity
It-
part of like
yeah.
the story. That's kind of what it is. I
Yeah.
think.
And they're doing the birth of Jesus. Wendy is playing Mary. Kyle is playing Joseph. And
Of course he is.
I thought this was pretty funny. Like, Wendy's doing, like, actual, like, breathing. Like,
Yes.
like she's giving
She
birth.
is having contractions. She's in labor. It's happening.
And,
Jesus is being born.
yeah, so, and then comes out the baby, and it's like this fetus.
It looks like a little alien. It's gross. It's like a reddish.
I don't know
pink.
where they got this, like, plastic
Probably like
toy
health class or
fetus.
something, maybe.
But, like, instead of, like, just getting, like, a little baby doll, they had to get this.
Well, maybe it's like the one, you know how like in like the birthing things where they have the baby that fits inside of the model of the tummy.
Yes.
I think that's what it is. That's what it looks like to me.
Yes, a Mr. Garrison run play.
Oh,
I
100%.
can buy that for sure. So, the fetus coming out of Wendy was debated by the Comedy Central people. They weren't sure if they wanted to allow it. They did. They like fought to keep that in. They said, Matt and Trey said that they had to be very careful on how they shot it. So I don't know exactly what that means, but take that.
Well, I guess
with
maybe
it what
because
you
it's
will.
a child, you know, in labor and
a
stuff.
child giving birth.
It's
yeah.
a little weird.
Yeah. Mr. Garrison stops them and he says that he's not believing the labor pains
Wait a minute, wait. Kyle, what the hell was that? You need to hold the baby by the legs, not by the head. What kind of sick weirdo are you?
Sorry.
And Wendy, I'm still not believing the labor pains.
Okay.
So he wants Wendy to do this more.
And Kyle's holding the dang baby by his
yeah,
head.
Kyle's holding the baby by his head. Kind of a... What does he call him?
What kind of sick weirdo are you?
Yeah! What kind of sick weirdo are you? That's great. So we're already starting off on the right foot with this episode.
Obviously.
Kyle's mom shows up, so the return of Sheila Broflovsky, and she's offended that Kyle is being asked to do a nativity in the school play, which, fair enough. You probably should not, for the teachers and schools out there, probably shouldn't be doing a nativity scene when it comes to the Christmas pageant, if you're a public school.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is like that small town thing, I think, too.
Yes.
That part, I think, like, it plays into it a little bit.
I'm sure there are plenty of small towns around the country, at least in the United States. I'm sure other rules in different countries, but I'm sure that there are small towns in this country that I'll be goddamned if I'm not going to have a nativity scene at my goddamn 4-year-old school play.
Sure.
That kind of mentality. I don't know why I did a southern accent for that. You can take that with what you will, but
it's just an accent. It's no big deal.
It doesn't mean anything.
It's nothing.
But that mentality, I'm sure, is there, to your point.
Yeah.
But in general,
it kind of makes sense. Yeah.
But her point is, like, you're having him play Joseph in a school play, doing the nativity scene, and he's Jewish. And Garrison doesn't get it, because he's like, it's Christmas. Like, what? Who cares? So it's already, like, Garrison's already in that, like, what's the difference? Like, it doesn't matter. You understand where Sheila's coming from, because...
it makes sense where she's coming from.
For those of you that don't know what
he's a dude. He's a cool dude, but he's not divine. Like, that's as much as I know.
Because it's all the same. It's all like
a similar story, which is very interesting, honestly.
It is all the same story.
Yeah, and you put them all together.
Same. It's just they stopped at different places. And that they all fight with each other all the time.
Oh, constantly, yeah.
So Garrison is like, oh god, you aren't going to lay that Hanukkah crap on me, are you? So Kyle offers up to stop them from fighting. He's like, well, I could sing the Mr. Hankey song, because Sheila says, why don't you sing something Jewish or something Hanukkah related?
Right.
So, like, sing
like the dreidel
or whatever. And Kyle's like, well, I'll sing the Mr. Hankey song. And he starts singing the Mr. Hankey song, and they're like, what is that? Because the kids are all like, we've never heard of this. And Kyle explains that he's the Christmas Poo, who comes to you on Christmas if you have a lot of fiber in your diet, naturally.
I love that, like, his parents are constantly, like, embarrassed by this too. Like, don't tell people that. Like, this is our family type of thing. Like, leave it alone.
And Mr. Garrison says something about calling them pagans because they don't celebrate Christmas. And Kyle's mom says that she's going to go to the mayor about this. And he's like, oh, is it because of the pagan thing? And so Mr. Garrison, of course,
Garrison is a horrible person.
Terrible. Yes.
He's the worst human imaginable.
For some reason, the kids are happy it's snowing, which is odd because it's the South Park.
Oh, yeah,
and it's always snowing. But it's Christmas snow.
This
time they're excited
snow.
about it.
That's
true.
I didn't even think about that until you pointed it out.
Like, there's always snow here. It's South Park.
There is.
I appreciated this joke. I had a feeling you didn't appreciate this joke, Rachel, but a toilet humor joke of a bird pooping and it falling into Kenny's mouth because they all have their heads facing the sky. Yeah. Legitimately, though, I always think about this when a bird flies overhead. I always think, this is like one of those irrational fears for me, is, oh god, is a bird gonna poop and poop on me because they flew overhead?
I feel like they do that on purpose, though. They do aim for you.
But they can't control their bowels all the time, right? So...
I don't know. If they eat the berries, then they really can't. But I have a feeling, they're tricking us. That's right. They're aiming.
folks at home, let us know if that's ever happened to you, because I truly am like I seriously will like think about it. Like when a flock of birds flies overhead, I'll be like, ugh, because I'm like worried that they're gonna poo on me.
I've had a friend who had a
pooped
bird.
on. I think I've been pooped on with wearing a jacket though. Like it's pooped like on my jacket before.
Sure. I've had friends get pooped on by birds. I've almost had a squirrel fall on me from a tree. There were two squirrels fighting, and one fell.
You had a squirrel almost fall on you?
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that happen?
There were two squirrels fighting, because I have a feeling the one was trying to take over the other one's nest. I don't remember which one's the mean one, but there's like a red versus gray squirrel. And the one was like pushing the one was like trying to hang on to the branch, and the other one pushed him off, and it almost fell on us. He fell onto the sidewalk.
Okay.
Yeah. So I haven't had bird poop, but I've almost had a squirrel.
That's almost worse, because the squirrels are
just
insane.
a little bit.
So they tell Kyle that he can't eat the Christmas snow that's falling because Cartman tells him that it's illegal for Jews to eat Christmas snow. And Kyle tries to say that that's not true, and he's and Officer Barbrady, who's directing traffic because he has nothing better to do in this town, is there. So Kyle asks I almost called him Professor Barbrady again. Asks Officer
Barbrady. I kind of wish he was Professor. Sorry,
he asks Officer Barbrady if it's illegal for Jews to eat Christmas snow, and there's a pause. And then he goes, yes. And Kyle just goes, God damn it! Which I really like that one, too. The boys are going to go see Santa. Cartman makes fun of Kyle some more because Kyle's not going to go see Santa, because why would he? He's not going to get gifts from Santa. And they make fun of him for getting crappy Hanukkah gifts. Because Kyle tries to say that you get 8 days of presents, and they're like, yeah, but it's usually like crap. And
like small things, yeah.
Yeah. He again tries to explain to them Mr. Hankey, because he's like, well, Mr. Hankey will give me gifts. And this is where we learn he comes to you if you have a lot of fiber in your diet on Christmas Eve. And Cartman, I love Cartman's reaction to this, because he says, all right, come on, Kyle, you're really stretching this one. Like, it's like, all right.
Like, they're like, you're like obsessed with this poo business. Like, what's happening here?
I love it, because it's like, all right, we're kids. We come up with stuff all the time, but this one's a little far-fetched. Like, we cannot go along with you on this one, man. I like the self-awareness of it, too, because it could even be like Matt and Trey being like, are people gonna go along with this, like, talking piece of poo? So Kyle says he's gonna be riding in Santa's sleigh with Mr. Hankey come Christmas Eve. Which he doesn't at the end. I guess he could have done that.
He could have, like, Mr. Hankey could have invited him, but he didn't. He said no.
But I got a lot of work to do. I don't know what he's doing.
That's a good question. I guess checking to make sure people have fiber, and if they don't get a gift. I don't understand. He is a piece of poo.
He is a piece of poo. So we get our first musical
yes
rendition from the show, A Lonely Jew on Christmas.
Yeah.
It's a catchy song, and it does work for me. Like, I was singing or like humming it all yesterday after I watched the episode.
Right.
Because it's just, I'm a Jew on Christmas.
Yep.
It's a song where, for those that have not seen the episode, go listen to the song. If it's that time of year, you can add it to your rotation. It's a good little Christmas song, because it's almost like what's that sad Christmas song? Not
Blue
necessarily.
Christmas.
Yeah. Well, that's the Elvis one, right? Oh,
yes, there's that one.
There's a sad Christmas song that's in one of those Rankin and Bass. It's like the one where Santa's not gonna show up that year or something, and it's like a little girl's like upset that Santa's not gonna come.
What the hell is the song? Okay, hold, this is gonna bother me.
So that Rachel can figure out.
No, I think it is still a Blue Christmas.
Is it just called a Blue Christmas?
Blue Christmas from Year Without a Santa Claus. Hold on a second.
Yeah, that's
I think
it.
That's
gotta
what
be
it is.
Yeah. Maybe it's the same song. Okay, it is the same song. Right?
Yeah, it's this one.
Yeah, okay, so it's the same song as the Elvis one. I didn't realize that it was a traditional Christmas song. I thought it was an Elvis song.
without you.
Okay, so it is the same song. All right.
Just a better version of it.
Yeah. Question mark. So, yes, it's just like that song. It's that idea.
Yeah,
yes,
it's
Kyle,
the idea of the sad Christmas.
Kyle is lamenting not being part of the fun of Christmas, and how he even says Hanukkah is fine, but it's not as fun. And really, he feels left out. Like, that's the...
I think it's more so being left out.
Yeah, he
of
feels
having
left
fun with
out.
your friends.
Yeah, because all of them are celebrating Christmas and doing Christmas things, and he's not.
And they're the only Jewish people in the town.
And the only Jewish people in town. And I think this is part of what their point of the show is, because again, it's never our point. We're telling you what their point is. And maybe if we really have to disagree, we'll disagree. But like, I think their point is like, just join in on the fun of Christmas so that nobody's left out, and just make it more secular. Everybody can have a good time. You can go do your respective religious things yourselves, but like, you might as well just make it all the same holiday, because
it's just
you might as
the
well
holiday season. Darn it!
Yeah. Well, because I can't remember which one of them said that they had like one, because Matt is Jewish, but like he didn't really like practice it a ton. But Trey, I think, said that when he was a kid, they had like one Jewish person in the school, and they let her or had her sing the dreidel song or like something Hanukkah related at the Christmas pageant. And he was like, it was supposed to make her feel special, but in reality, it just made her feel even more
left out, because now she's by yourself.
Like, more exclusive, more other, because like now it's like, you do this by yourself.
You get to do this one because that's your song, but
so
you don't
instead
get to
of like being
these.
included or like everyone doing it, it's like, no, you just do this, which is it should be the opposite. It should be everybody does everything together.
Right.
Is kind of their point. Yeah. Everyone can sing the dreidel song together. Like, it doesn't have to just be, It's a fine song that we will, I'm sure, sing on one of these South Park episodes one day when they get to that episode.
Dreidel, I made you out of clay.
I don't know how we're going to do that episode without just singing the entire time, but...
I don't know, because they're going to have to deal with us singing the whole thing, so...
Yeah, because it's going to be every single song, including Santa and Jesus at the lounge.
Oh my god, yes. Her name is
things.
Rio, and she dances on the sand.
And Christmas Time in Hell, which is one of my legitimate
Christmas Time
favorite...
in Hell is fantastic.
Christmas Time in Hell is one of my favorite Christmas songs, like legit. One of my favorite Christmas songs.
It's a good one. We listened to that. I think we were listening to all the South Park Christmas songs last year while making Christmas cookies.
Yeah, it makes sense. Because you should.
Of course.
A crowd is in front of the mayor's office and is all pissed off. And some are mad that there's a nativity set at the Capitol. Some are mad about the play being too religious. Some are mad about Santa and all of that stuff taking up the religious aspect of Christmas. And some want trees not taken down to be Christmas trees as well. And Jimbo tries to add his 2 cents to this. Because he's like, he wants the stupid flaps on coffee lids taken off. Because if you can't drink your coffee while you're driving the car, then you shouldn't have got it in the first place.
And then
yeah.
For a second, but there's a pause. There's a hot pause for a second. They're like, whatever. We all rabble together anyway, so let's just keep going.
Yeah, rabble. I like that Jimbo tried to get his 2 cents in on something while he realized everyone else was being mad about something. He should be mad about something too.
Right.
The mayor says that they need a new icon for Christmas, or the holidays in general, something that is non-denominational, something that can be totally secular, and of course Kyle offers up Mr. Hankey. He says he gives presents to you as long as you have a lot of fiber in your diet. He doesn't care what religion you are. Speaking of a lot of fiber in your diet, Rachel, I think this is a good time to plug our Munch Madness 1 episode where we discussed cereals, and we had a tournament of cereals in the back catalog. So go check that one out.
Go check that one out. Maybe a fibrous cereal would be on your shelf.
It's possible. You can figure out if fiber won at the end. I think sugar won in the end, but that's besides the point.
The sweetness.
Kyle's mom grabs Kyle to leave because she's like embarrassed that he brought up Mr. Hankey again in front of the entire town, which she should be.
I mean, it's one of those family things that's like, oh god, now they're talking about it in like
Yeah.
As if it's like in front of everybody. It's like, no,
Right.
this is just a family thing.
Yeah. Even that, they're like, it's okay to have imaginary like later they're like, it's okay to have imaginary
Yes.
friends, Kyle, but you're talking about a piece of shit. Like, you cannot be including the shit in your imaginary friends.
Sure.
The mayor says they're going to put together the most inoffensive Christmas ever.
Good luck. This is South Park, all right?
Well, that's of course the joke. And then in foreshadowing to his decades of destruction to come.
Oh my god.
This is such a funny line though from him. But Mr. Garrison raises his hand and goes,
"Are there any other suggestions?" "Yes, Mr. Garrison."
Could we get rid of all the Mexicans?
"No, Mr. Garrison, we cannot get rid of all the Mexicans."
Rats.
Which, whether they intended it to be or not, is kind of interesting because it shows that in an attempt to either be no political correctness or too politically correct, some asshole is going to try to take advantage of it.
Oh yeah. It's true. That's actually very true.
Like, I don't think it was intentional. I think it's
Probably
just a
not.
joke of, like, look how racist Mr. Garrison is. But
Right.
it kind of stands there as, like, I'm going to try to take advantage of this by saying Mexicans offend me. Or somehow he's going to try to, like, use the we don't want to be PC or we do want to be PC
Right.
For his own, racism.
Personal gain. Of
Yeah.
course, yes.
I thought that was
It's very good foreshadowing, for
Yeah.
many years down the line.
Right.
But yes.
I mean, and of course, I think there's always this balance that people try to be with the political correctness of everything, which of course we've always kind of said at Shelf Life, why don't you everybody just be nice to each other? Don't be a dick, and
Yeah, don't be
you'll
a dick.
figure it out. Because there's a way to just don't be
It's
a
one
dick.
of my mottos. Don't be a dick.
Yeah. Shelf Life Podcast, don't be a dick. Put it on a t-shirt, and I'm sure that'll sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, I bet.
So at Kyle's house, Ike's playing with the dreidel, and Gerald Broflovsky comes in. So this is our first appearance of Gerald, Kyle's dad. And he's yelling at Kyle for thinking Mr. Hankey is real, and telling him that he can't be thinking about Mr. Hankey or talking about this in public for sure. And Sheila is doing the, like, I guess this is supposed to be like, like a mom-dad yelling at you dynamic, where like Sheila keeps standing behind Gerald and then popping her
And
head
just
around.
kind of being like, let me give you my 2 cents for a second, and then I'm like, okay, let him talk some more, and be like,
Yeah.
wait, I gotta interrupt. Hold on a second, and then like, yeah, that's what it seems like.
Yep. And he tells him he can't open up his present tonight, his Hanukkah present. So we're in the middle of Hanukkah.
Right.
It is the timeline. And as Kyle storms off, mad that they're yelling at him about Mr. Hankey, he's like, it's probably just a stupid dreidel anyway. and then they're like, what did you say, young man? And he goes, Ike's on fire. Because Ike is...
In the middle of their conversation, the menorah falls on Ike, and he's lit on fire.
Yeah, poor Ike. Ike the genius. Yes, Ike is on fire, so they go try to put Ike out. Yeah, because he bumped the menorah off the table because he's playing with the dreidel too close or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, something. He's playing with something.
He's playing with something. Kyle is brushing his teeth, and he hears a coming from the toilet. And here he is, Mr. Hankey the Christmas Poo. He loves me. I love you. Therefore, vicariously, he loves you. He's a piece of poo.
Yep, literally a piece of poo comes out of the toilet. And I hate this. I hate it. It's so gross.
Rachel,
he smears on everything. He smears poo on everything. It's so gross.
Well, he's a piece of shit. Of course he does.
I know.
That's what poo does. It gets everywhere. It's like sand. Rachel, can you explain what Mr. Hankey looks like, other than just that he's a piece of poo?
Seriously? You're just doing this to me. Like, he is turd-shaped, okay? He has stick
Looks
arms
like
with
chocolate
white
bar.
mittens. Okay?
Yes. He
Stick
has little
arms with
stick
white
arms.
mittens.
Yep.
Oh, he's got a Santa hat on, so like the red hat with the white poof.
Yeah.
And then his face is very cartoony. Like, how do I describe this? It's like those dolls with those eyes.
It's very 1930s cartoon.
Yeah.
Like
big eyes.
Like a Felix the Cat eyes. Yeah, Mickey Mouse from back in the day eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to say it. Yeah, he's Mickey Mouse in shit form. So there you go.
He does his patented hidey ho with his hand. His hand does the sun across this horizon motion to do the wave with that. Yes, he is getting poo everywhere. I think they said that they took the frames and smeared chocolate on the background to get the poo.
It does kind of look like it would be chocolate, you know. That is what it really does look like.
And because he's the most obnoxious character in the South Park canon, this side of the Jack-Offisaurs, he does start singing a song and bouncing around. Christmas Day is here again! And, of course, he's being loud, because he's singing. Rachel has no opinion on this. She just wants to end this podcast now. So, he's singing.
He's singing, and his dad comes in and sees poop everywhere, all right?
Well, Gerald... So he's singing because he's singing. Rachel's like, let's move on. So
no, we can keep talking about it.
Gerald wants to get in there because Mr. Hankey's singing loudly, so he's making a lot of noise. And when he opens the door, Kyle is just holding this piece of poo in his hand.
Yeah, he grabs him. He grabs him to stop him, I guess.
Throw him back in the toilet.
Oh, maybe.
Or stop him from, bouncing around and getting shit all over the place.
Yeah.
But I don't know why he does this. Because you're supposed to wonder throughout this episode, is Mr. Hankey real or in Kyle's head? And spoiler alert, he's real. But why does he go limp? Oh, is it because it's only when you believe? You have to believe and have a lot of fiber in your diet?
I guess. And I think his dad just, doesn't have either.
Yeah, he either doesn't have a lot of fiber in his diet.
Well, we know that he doesn't believe because he said he's not real. He told him he's not real.
So he won't show for Gerald Broflovsky.
Right.
Okay, so is that why he goes limp? Because Kyle is holding...
I think so.
I don't know why he's holding poo in his hand like this either. I've never held shit in my hand. I'm assuming as if your parents, maybe you would. Or even dog do, you hold in a bag in one hand. Kyle is holding this,
he's holding a turd.
He's holding it like you would hold...
clasped.
Like a big sub sandwich. He's, yes, clasping it with both hands. Like a microphone.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you just hold it with one hand?
Well, he was holding it with one hand, but I think he was, shaking him to try to
he's trying to shake him to wake him up?
Yeah.
Because that's when Mr. Hankey kind of falls over.
He flops.
It's great animation. I kind of wonder if they... I'm lingering on this scene on purpose to really piss Rachel off. That's the only reason I keep talking about this scene.
Let me describe in
vivid detail
everything that's happening.
So his dad tells him to get to sleep, and to think about how your poor mother is going to have to clean this up, and you just hear Sheila go, what? So when his dad closes the door, Mr. Hankey comes back out. I want to know where Mr. Hankey was hiding at this point, but Mr.
I don't know, because he comes out the bed.
Yeah.
God, now he's got a turd in his bed. Come on.
And Mr. Hankey is like, you should wear socks to sleep, Kyle, or you'll catch a cold. And Kyle is still no, I have to prove that this piece of shit is anthropomorphic here. Why don't I take you to school tomorrow with me, Mr. Hankey, and prove to his friends that he's not crazy? And Mr. Hankey says that that's a good idea because then he can show them the true spirit of Christmas.
Yeah.
So Mr. Hankey's on board with this plan as well. In town, the people are taking down anything that could be remotely identifiable with a specific group on Christmas.
Well, anything that's offensive.
Right. Well, yes. So, and then of course they do an example of okay, you'd never stop if you just kept going with what could be possibly offensive. Because Jimbo's at the top of a ladder, there's mistletoe there, and he's like, is mistletoe offensive?
And one guy raises his hand.
And one guy kind of sheepishly raises his hand, so they take it down.
Yep.
So there's your commentary.
No candy
folks.
canes, no mistletoe, no nothing.
Right. And it would happen if you go down the X hole and you start listening to people on X, you find all of these. You'd get to the point where something is offending someone. Everything is offending someone.
Right.
Even if they're being.
I find Mr. Hankey offensive, but you don't see me complaining.
Well, you do, but you're not asking for him to not exist.
No, he's fine. He's
not for me. Not for me.
No.
At the bus stop, the kids are discussing the toys they think they're going to get. Cartman was sneaking around in his mom's closet, and he's getting the Ultra Vibe Pleasure 2000. And they're like, whoa, what's that? He's like, I don't know, but it sounds pretty awesome. I'll just let you guys figure out what that could be.
Everybody can make assumptions.
Kyle shows up.
With a box.
With a box. So, the problem is, apparently, it's the same problem like you said with his dad. Because he's like, I've got to show you guys something. And he opens the box. And there's just a turd in the box.
There's just a turd
in
the
box. And they're all like, oh, sick, dude. Like, what the hell? And Cartman asks if this is a Jewish tradition. So you are saying this is because none of them believe in Mr. Hankey.
I think it's because none of them know or believe in Mr. Hankey.
Kyle is like, dance, damn it! Dance! Because he's so desperate to get Mr. Hankey to show himself. And I thought that was funny too, because he's just shaking this box and this poo is just smearing all
rolling
over
around. Yeah.
He keeps the box with him though. It's not like he gets rid of the box. He takes it with him.
No, because it's Mr. Hankey. Why would he get rid of the box when it's Mr. Hankey? He thinks it's Mr. Hankey.
I think Mr. Hankey can change
into any poo that there is. Yes, I agree.
I think his spirit moves from poo to poo.
I also agree. However, God damn it. I just think that Kyle is here is the piece of poo that he can use to show himself instead of having to poo again or find another piece of poo for him to be, right? Maybe?
Yes, I guess so. He knows this piece of poo had Mr. Hankey in it.
Yes, at some point.
Theoretically, it could again. Folks at home, let us know what your opinion is on this. Is Mr. Hankey's spirit allowed to hop from shit to shit? Or poo to poo?
I mean, technically, for us...
Does it have to be a human?
Always looks the same. I don't think it does. I bet it doesn't.
Does it have to be Does it have to be a good log?
A good turd?
Yeah.
Well, again, if we go back to the song...
That's true. Sometimes he's
The
brown,
song
sometimes
explains.
he's green. Yeah,
that's right.
So
I think just for us, he always is a good log.
For us, he's always a good log, because that's the easiest. I bet that's the easiest for him to get in there.
And move around and, be a thing instead of smush.
Yeah, because if he's smush or diarrhea or whatever.
All right, that's
baby
enough.
Green or
That's enough. We're done. Okay, moving on.
So there are... So anyway...
Can you tell I'm not a poop joke person?
Not a poop joke person. There's a reason that E is on this episode, Rachel. I haven't even said... We haven't even sworn that much on this episode.
No.
But the E's there because of all the scatological humor that we're doing in this one.
All of it's explicit. South Park is explicit, period. We can't say no to...
Can't get away with it.
Explicit. Yeah.
Scientists are doing experiments on which words people find most offensive.
Right.
And it's just a little scene. They're just going through words because they're trying to figure out what words trigger people's brains, and if the word doesn't trigger people's brains, they can keep it in Christmas. The headline of the joke, the punchline, is at the end they say some racial slur, and then they go back to chair or something like that.
Yes.
So, Mr. Garrison is having trouble figuring out what to do for the play because they aren't allowed to have a Christmas tree or Christmas lights or anything. It's all very generic.
Yes.
And he asked the kids if they know any non-Santa or Jesus Christmas songs. And Cartman says he knows the song. And he says, why don't we sing Kyle's Mom's a Bitch in D minor? And we get a very, very, very classic South Park moment where Kyle sings, or where Cartman sings Kyle's Mom's a Bitch.
Yep.
And as we were doing Kyle's Mom's a Bitch, she's a big bitch, she's the biggest bitch in the whole wide world. It's a pretty good song. Of course it's offensive because it is offensive because it's a South
you
Park
are
song.
calling a person a bitch and everything, yes.
Yeah. But it is extremely catchy. It has a great little beat and it fits Cartman extremely well. So we finally get that Cartman singing that song, which he was alluding to at one point during the season.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah, that he was going to sing this song. During the song, because the kids are all clapping along, Mr. Garrison
and so is
clapping
Mr. Garrison.
Because of course he is. Because, I mean, he feels the same way about it as Cartman does. Like, Sheila has kind of ruined his play, or like how easy it was going to be to put on this play. Mr. Hankey wakes up as Cartman's singing, though, and he's like, oh, that's certainly not very nice. And he wants to teach Cartman a lesson.
Yes, he does.
And at the end of the song, which Cartman, of course, is like doing like a big, she's a bitch. Like,
right. It's a good end. It's a big, fancy ending to his song.
Yes. Hankey very violently was like, Wah! Like
yes.
screaming as he like hurls himself. So he throws himself at Cartman, and
yes.
he gets poo on Cartman's face.
Smears onto his face and falls to the floor. I, for some reason, did not remember if he jumped into his mouth or not. And I kept going, this is going to be so nasty because he's going to jump into his mouth.
That's a feasible thing to forget because it does feel like like when Cartman's like got his mouth wide open,
yes,
like singing,
like he's doing,
that he'd throw himself in.
And that's when it would have gone into his mouth. And I'm just like, oh God, it's going to happen. And then it just smears on his face, which is also absolutely disgusting. But at least it's not in his mouth.
Yes. There is a episode further down the line where Mr. Hankey is dying and he tells Kyle that sometimes I put myself in your mouth while you're sleeping.
Maybe that's why I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. So he does admit to Kyle that he has done that before.
So gross.
There's poo on Kyle's hands.
Yes.
And because Mr. Hankey fell like silently, like he's not alive. And we are supposed to question, is he going insane? Like, is this all in Kyle's head? Yeah. This is also suspiciously kind of like another Community episode where it's all in Abed's head. Remember that claymation episode where everything is taking place in Abed's head?
I do.
So there's another connection there.
Interesting.
Very interesting. They send Kyle to Mr. Mackey. And this is where we get the first ever Mr. Mackey.
Is this the first ever Mr. Yeah, I guess
I think this is the first Mr. Mackey. So we get this school counselor. Dogs like this. Okay.
It's making you yawn talking like him.
Yeah, it kind of does.
It does.
He tells Kyle that Kyle is a fecophiliac, okay? And he's obsessed with poo.
Never looked that
up. And he thinks maybe don't Google that.
I really wouldn't.
Don't Google any of this stuff. Because even if you're doing it to get a South Park thing, you're not going to get that.
No.
And Mr. Mackey thinks that maybe it's because it's Christmas time and the kids make fun of him for being Jewish and he feels left out and all of this stuff. So maybe he's making up Mr. Hankey in his head. Sure. And maybe he's mad about this. Mad enough to kill? No? Oh, well, that's good.
Okay, that's good. He's just mad. Not mad enough.
While this is happening, Mr. Hankey is in Mr. Mackey's coffee. And
Mr.
he's like
Hankey
showering
is disgusting.
himself.
He is disgusting.
Yeah, this one's pretty gross.
Like, come on.
He doesn't realize that he's a gross piece of poo.
Yeah, does he not? Does he not realize that? Because that's just disgusting. It makes people sick. Let's not.
He tells Kyle he's screwed up. Mr. Mackey does.
Right.
And he wants to put him on Prozac. And Kyle, this whole time, is like trying to like...
not tell him.
Yeah, not hope that he doesn't see this turd, but he does. And he's like, oh my God, you sick little monkey.
Yeah,
Kyle.
Like, when would have Kyle put the turd into your cup, though, is my question.
That should be kind of the question here of, like, how would Kyle have done this? Because
Yes, because you're paying attention to him. Like, where did this turd come from?
Yep, you said it. Where did this turd come from?
I'm not happy about it.
They at the Christmas pageant, they can't have Christmas lights because they offend people with epilepsy. So I don't know if offend is the right word.
No, I think it could hurt people more so than offend. But look, they're just trying to make
I'm
it.
even guessing that somebody
worse.
without epilepsy said that, and then that's why they.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Kenny is
I like this.
asked to go pull the cords out of the wall by a leaky faucet.
Yes, the many cords, like dangerous to have this many cords.
Very dangerous.
Next
and
to a
of
leaky
course,
faucet.
he does so without issue.
Yeah, he was totally fine.
So, yeah, he's fine. I don't know what you expected. I don't even know why I brought it up.
No, I don't know. This has to be like when he becomes self-aware, or was he already self-aware before this?
Yes, he clearly is self-aware about this. Yes,
he's very self-aware.
Yes, I don't know why, but he is very self-aware about this. He might have been before this because they send him off to do it by himself, and he knows, like, oh god, like
something's gonna happen. Yeah.
Mackie tells Stan because Mr. Mackie runs into the room because Kyle is chasing him down with Mr. Hankey
with the turd.
Yeah.
He's just running with a turd, going, look, I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you.
Yeah. Mr. Mackey's
Poor Kyle, I'm so sorry, Kyle, because if this is all in your head, I'm so sorry that you're just having to go through this. But
he's going through a mental breakdown.
Yeah, truly having a mental breakdown. And then also because he is real and he's trying to prove that he's real and it's not working. I'm also sorry because he's having to run around with a turd constantly to prove it.
Folks at home, if this is happening to a friend of yours in real life, you get him some help because Mr. Hankey is not actually. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say Mr.
What
Hankey's
if you believe?
not real.
What if you believe? What if you believe?
Yeah, you're right. So I shouldn't say that. But you still shouldn't be handling fecal matter.
I really
if he
wouldn't
pops
put it
up,
in your hands. Don't touch him.
If he comes out of the toilet and he says "Heidi ho," that's one thing.
Tell him that's where he stays. I'm sorry, but
Tell
you
him
have
to
to stay
within
the toilet.
Yes. At the very least, you should be within the toilet. They decide, the boys, to take Kyle to a mental hospital. So they check him in for being a depressed fecophiliac on Prozac.
Yes.
That night is the Christmas play, and the kids all have these leotards.
Again, this kind of reminds me of the Community's Human. Because
yes.
the outfit they have on is just a full body leotard, not on the head, but a full body.
Yep.
Darkish gray green leotard.
Just gray leotard. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why we're connecting these two shows.
I mean, eventually but you did that to me now.
Eventually, the Christmas episodes will all be together, of course. But there is connection there for sure.
That's interesting.
There's no Christmas trees. There's no Christian stuff. There's nothing.
Right.
Meanwhile, Kyle's going nuts in the mental hospital. He's singing "Dreidel, dreidel, dreidel" to himself. Second verse, same as the first. Dreidel, 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 I made you out of clay. Dreidel, 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 with dreidel I will play. And he's just doing that over and over again. In a straitjacket in a padded room.
Right.
There's a star above the stage. And
like
somebody
a regular
shouts
star.
at that.
Just a five-pointed, you make a star shape.
But someone says that could be very offensive to non-Christians. So they're like, oh, all right, go take it down. So Kenny has to climb the ladder to go get it.
The rickety ladder,
and of course,
above the shark tank.
Right, there's a shark in the third act of this play.
Which now I'm interested in this third act. There's a shark.
I'll mention something about this play once we get to it. Yeah, so he has to go get it down.
Right.
The opening act for this play is Chef. And he gets to sing a song first. And it includes a lot of
fantastic song.
A lot of Christmas references about Yule logs and fa-la-laing, decking your halls or something like that.
Yeah,
I can't remember
can't wait to fa-la-la your la and deck your halls, I think is one of them. Yeah. Yeah. Lay you down by the Yule log and
that's right.
yeah.
It should be that he's going to show her his Yule log.
Yeah, that would make more sense. Maybe it is. I think it's by the fire or something. Oh, jingle your bells. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, jingle your bells.
There's some more. Yeah.
That makes sense. So Chef obviously is doing his shtick. I was gonna say, so Chef obviously is, singing about Christmas caroling, and
yeah.
He's just singing a very traditional.
But he's
Christmas
making
carol.
it very like jazzy instead, so it's not Christmassy.
It's very.
That's
fun,
why that's why he gets away with it. Yeah.
We see that Kenny gets the start down without incident. I don't know what any of you were expecting.
Yeah,
and then
he was fine. Yeah, it's no big deal.
We hear that the music was put together by Philip Glass. Rachel, you know Philip Glass?
I don't.
You know the name?
I think I know
Philip
the
Glass?
name. Yeah, but go ahead and explain.
Yeah. Okay, so this is them kind of making fun of like Philip Glass music. He's this minimalist composer. So like everything is like very like do like eccentric, modern, bullshit, pretentious kind of shit.
Yeah.
That kind of idea, I think, is the idea of what they're going for here.
Yeah, because like the kids start doing an interpretive dance to this like very minimalist music.
Yeah, I actually love this. Happy, happy, happy. Everybody happy, 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 happy. I actually really enjoy that. I love how ridiculous it is.
Oh my God,
is just
yes.
this interpretive dance thing. Rachel, I don't think you might not have watched this episode of Best of the Worst yet, where they do turtle doves.
I don't remember.
Or What Do Turtles Dream Of, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
It's this same like idea where it's like these four people are just standing in a row doing interpretive dance, and somebody's going, I went to the store, I went to the store, I went to the store, and they're all, and like somebody else goes, wah, 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 and like doing like, and it's all that kind of like,
oh my God, I'm sorry,
hippie-ish,
like,
like modern.
Some people really love it, some people love it, and I don't know why. It's not for me. Like Mr. Hankey, it's just not for me.
Yeah. It's fine. I'm sure it's very
interesting.
I'm sure it's very highfalutin and intellectual, and
yeah,
I don't understand it because I'm too
there.
stupid.
That's
I'm
right.
fine with that. I'm fine being too stupid to understand it.
It's really
Kyle's
silly,
mom. But it's really stupid. Kyle's mom and Father Maxie really don't like it though.
Oh no, they say
hate
it's
it.
horrible. It's just crap. Like what is this?
And the Braflovskis are like, well, it wasn't our idea to take out Santa. Like, they just didn't want the nativity in it.
Right.
And the adults all start fighting each other. Rabba, 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 rabba.
Right.
As this is happening, Chef asks where Kyle is, and they tell him that he kept seeing a Christmas poo, so they take him to the mental hospital. And Chef is like, you mean Mr. Hankey? And they're like, oh no, did we make a mistake?
Because, I love that Chef is like, no, I know who Mr. Hankey is.
Yeah, Chef of course knows who Mr. Hankey is. He's a chef. He's got plenty of fiber in his diet.
That's true. That's true. He would.
At this point, we got our fake sponsor.
Oh yeah, so we might as well just cut to our fake sponsor real quick.
Yeah. So it's a fake commercial with real people, not animated, real live people. And they have made a Mr. Hankey of Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah, I would say it's
version.
like a Mr. Potato Head. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's of Mr. Hankey. Like
Right.
you go get your own Mr. Hankey, and then
Out of
you
the
can like
toilet with your
decorate
net.
him out of the toilet with a special fecal retrieval device.
Yes.
And you
And then
put
you
and you
decorate
decorate him.
Yeah.
Yep. And at the end of the commercial is a little girl, like a baby, in a high chair, and she's apparently eating the Mr. Hankey.
Yeah. There is a part, I like the part where the girl goes, I really wish Dad was still alive. And then she's silent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
You didn't like the little girl eating a chocolate cake?
She was
or whatever
enjoying
got to eat?
her chocolate rabbit. Yeah, she was fine.
Yeah.
It's not it's not poo. It's not poo. It looked
that was a
clay.
robots don't climb. It's not poo. It's not poo.
It's not poo. It's not poo. Robots don't climb. Robots
What were you
climb.
saying?
I said it looked like thick clay, so I don't think they actually made it out of chocolate. I think like they are Mr. Hankey was made out of like a nice thick like brown clay.
Yeah, so that they could pose it and stuff.
Yeah. It was all over the kids. It's on their face and
yes, it was all over their faces and stuff. Of course, is the joke. Rachel loved it. Back at the show, Chef says if they all say they believe in Mr. Hankey, he'll come to life, and they start saying they believe in him.
And there's Mr. Hankey. See, I told you. This is what I mean.
Yeah, very Tinkerbell.
Yes. Start clapping your hands, and Mr. Hankey will appear. Ugh.
Yes. Start farting, and Mr. Hankey will appear.
Oh.
It's true. It's true. So he says, "Heidi ho, Chef," and Chef says, "Heidi ho, Mr. Hankey," right back to him. Mm-hmm. And I love Cartman's reaction here. I kind of wish Cartman would come back the entire rest of this episode.
This is me. I felt for Cartman at this point. I was like, you and me both, bud. You and me both.
Howdy ho, Mr. Hankey.
Okay, that does it. Screw you guys, I'm going home. Talking poo is where I draw the line.
What's all the ruckus?
He's like, all right, we've had a lot of fun here. I'm gonna peace out.
Yeah. And he just leaves. I'm like, I'm right there with you.
And he just leaves. We don't see him until the end of the episode.
Right.
But I do like that he just leaves. Mr. Hankey says he's going to try to stop everyone from fighting. So he tells them to stop fighting. He gives them a speech about Christmas.
Come on, gang, don't fight. You people focus so hard on the things wrong with Christmas that you've forgotten what's so right about it. Don't you see? This is the one time of year we're supposed to forget all the bad stuff. Stop worrying and being sad about the state of the world. And for just one day, say, oh, to heck with it. Let's sing and dance and bake cookies.
You talk about, and you want to talk about what's wrong with Christmas and all of the ways that it can divide us, instead of talking about what's right with Christmas. And meanwhile, the entire rest of the place is like in shock that there's a talking pile of crap.
Right.
And then Gerald starts a slow clap for it, because I think he, of course, is like, oh, my son was right.
Was right,
like,
yes.
It was Mr. Hankey. And they all start applauding, and they realize the error of their ways, that they should love their fellow man.
Togetherness.
Yeah, it's all about being together, and for one day, at the very least of the year, we can stop and enjoy each other's company.
Right.
Even though most of the time you have to be around people that you don't want to be around during Christmas, sometimes you get lucky and you get to be around people that you actually enjoy. And Stan says, this is pretty fucked up right here, because Mr. Hankey gathered them all together. So then we go back to the mental hospital, and Kyle is sitting in his padded cell, and Mr. Hankey greets Kyle.
His blue song again.
And he thinks that he's still crazy because he can see Mr. Hankey, but Mr. Hankey's like, I brought you some friends. And of course, because it's a traditional Christmas special, the entire crowd is outside singing Mr. Hankey the Christmas Poo and
Everybody
wishing
gets
Kyle a Merry
presents.
Christmas.
Yeah.
They
this
let
is where
they
the
let
guy
Kyle
that's dressed
out.
up as like Tiny Tim starts singing that part about the colors of
Yeah,
poo.
he's dressed very Dickensian, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They sing a version of the Mr. Hankey the Christmas Poo song. They let Kyle out so he gets to join everybody in singing along. Mr. Hankey hops into Santa's sleigh, saying that he's got a lot of work to do. Cartman says, make sure to bring me lots of presents. I always believed in you.
Yeah, I like that. Like, as long as he brings me presents, I don't care.
Yep. Stan learned that Jewish people are okay and Hanukkah can be cool too. And then they all are like, something doesn't feel right. Yeah, something feels unfinished. Like we haven't done something here.
Something didn't happen.
And then the words "the end" come up on screen. And Kenny rejoices.
Yes, he goes, woohoo! And he looks so happy because he's like looking around like, oh god, it's gonna happen, isn't it? It's gonna happen. I almost thought, right, that the D was gonna fall on him.
I thought so too. Yes, at least the first time I saw this, I thought that
gonna fall,
or something was gonna come in and kill him, like right at the last second. Yeah, but they let Kenny live because it's Christmas.
For Christmas.
Yep.
But
oh, I love this mid-credits joke.
Sad.
It's so funny. And it fits into the next episode pretty well, too, for how these people treat Jesus.
Yes.
So we cut to Jesus sitting, or we cut to the cable access station outside the cable access station. And you just hear Jesus singing, "Happy birthday to me." Because he's
all
just,
by himself.
They all forgot about his birthday because they were at the school play and then learning about Mr. Hankey, so nobody came to his birthday party.
Aw, poor Jesus.
That's a good joke. Like, I legitimately laughed at that one because I was like, oh, that's very sad and very funny.
Yes.
And you can interpret that however you'd like, too, about how all of these people, the ones that are religious as well, forgot about Jesus because they're just doing their own thing, so they kind of forget the point of why they're even doing it. So you can get that interpretation out of it. South Park, like a lot of things, South Park can be interpreted however people want to take it.
Yep.
For good and for bad. And that is the end of the episode, Mr. Hankey the Christmas Poo. Rachel, what are your thoughts about the episode? What are your final thoughts about the episode? And did you learn anything today?
It's a fine episode. I like the music. I like Kenny's being so super aware of himself. Too much poo for my liking, but we did learn...
too much poo, Rachel. Hashtag too much poo.
We did learn
too much poo for my like. Too much poo for my liking is gonna go down as like a quote from Rachel on this podcast.
God damn it.
That's gonna be your review. If folks at home, if you can leave 5 star, I don't know if I want this, but if you want to leave a 5-star review and it just says too much poo for my liking.
No,
don't do that.
Get out of here.
Probably don't do that. Okay, all right. I'm sorry.
Anyways,
leave a 5-star review. But anyway, if you were saying,
no, I'm done. Move on. Your thoughts, Kevin. Yours, and then you can say what we learned today.
This is going to be an interesting one when we do the final rankings of the season, because for the most part, we are pretty well in lockstep on a lot of things. Except for when we have our sibling rivalry about stuff. I think for the most part, we've been fairly
we've been typically similar.
Because of the fact that you don't like Mr. Hankey, we might be farther apart on this one.
Maybe.
I think. And it could be in part nostalgia, but it's definitely a classic episode of South Park here.
Oh, yeah.
It's still one of their best ones. They've got the music in it. They've got the good jokes. It has a fairly wholesome message to it.
Oh, yeah. It's a nice, wholesome message.
I don't know if I like it more than, like, Pink Eye, for instance.
Sure.
So I don't know exactly where it'll all play out, but I think it's one of their better episodes. And what did I learn today? Well, I learned about Mr. Hankey, for one. Oh, I know. I learned that it's illegal for Jews to eat Christmas snow, which I did not know before this.
It's
at least
very
according
special
to Officer
snow.
Barbrady. Yeah, at least according to Officer Barbrady. I don't know how official his word is, though.
That's also, yeah, I mean, that's very true.
That is our special holiday episode of South Park. Happy holidays, Rachel.
Yep, happy holidays.
We're just like, can we just please move on? Happy holidays to you and to yours, all of our listeners out there that are listening to this, whether it be the middle of July when we're recording this, or August, or it's the holiday season when you're listening to this. We hope that you enjoyed that episode of Mr. Hankey the Christmas Poo. But we here at Shelf Life are going to continue on. After a brief break, we will come back with Damien. Rectos. Dominos. Cheesy poofs.
Who will win our soul? Our savior and lord? Or the prince of darkness? It's the final battle between good and evil. And it's only on pay-per-view. Jesus versus Satan. Live from the South Park Forum on Saturday. Call now to order. Only $49.95.
And we're back with another episode of South Park Season 1. This one, Rachel, is entitled what?
Damien.
Rectos. Dominos. Cheesy poofs. I think what
do they ever say cheesy poofs? I like the fact that you go cheesy poofs.
I thought in my head I remembered them saying cheesy poofs at one point. Like I used to think that they were saying dominoes, and not Domino's or whatever they say.
Yeah.
At least according to Officer Barbrady. Yeah, But I could have sworn at some point in the lyrics they say cheesy poofs. I don't know if they do or not, though. I just watched it and I can't remember.
I can tell you I don't remember the episode. I didn't remember the episode at all.
You didn't remember this one?
I was like, oh my gosh, no.
Yeah, because rectus dominos means ass master in Latin. So that's why they say that. But
that I recognized, but the episode I just didn't.
So, Rachel, what happens in Damien?
So Damien, the child of Satan, comes to school and causes some fire shenanigans, and then Satan comes and fights Jesus in a boxing match.
Yes, very good, very succinct.
Oh, it's also Cartman's birthday.
It is also Cartman's birthday. That first and foremost, it is Cartman's birthday. Okay,
that's right.
Don't you fucking forget about it. So
I wasn't invited.
Well, if you want to get him the yellow Mega Man or the red Mega Man, then be my guest. So yes, this is an episode of South Park in which they poke fun at the Omen, of course, being Damien being the Antichrist, the son of the devil, and then of course doing the final battle of good and evil between Jesus and Satan. So this is the first appearance of Satan on the show. It is
that's interesting.
I mean, he becomes a pretty regular character on South Park.
Oh, yeah.
A very good character, actually. The whole point of, or I guess kind of like where they go with this, is they wanted to do a subplot where a new kid comes to town. They say this on the intro to the episode on the DVD commentary. Being the new kid is hard because they beat the crap out of the new kids all the time. They also say
that happened to them. Do you think they were the new kid at one point?
I don't know. We were never the new kid, technically.
No, but
we were going into high school because we went to a different high school than we went to.
That's true.
But that didn't.
But anytime there was a new kid, we weren't mean to the new kid. At least I wasn't.
I never cared enough to give a shit. No. Like, it seems weird to make fun. Like, I get it. I know what happens. Like, it has to happen. It's just like a weird thing because, like, why?
Suck.
But like, why do kids do that? Like, what is the purpose?
I don't know.
Is it just because it's somebody different? I don't know why bullies
exist. I
guess.
Like,
but why to people that are new? Like, I don't get that.
Yeah, what's the big deal?
And maybe somebody out there knows like the psychology behind it. Because is it just somebody different is coming into your life and you feel
because they don't
threatened, or maybe
maybe
just
they feel threatened by it
because it's like change or something like that. Just seems like an odd thing that that happens. Because it for sure does. It's just weird. So anyway, that was the point of that. They wanted to have a new kid that was getting bullied, and they wanted to make it the Antichrist and do an Omen send-up by having, like, the creepy Damien from the Omen. They wanted Mike Judge, who was the creator of King of the Hill, to play Damien.
Interesting.
He was going to do it, but they had some sort of, like, conflict in the timing, so he didn't have the time to do it. He ends up playing Kenny in South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. So they did get him to come in to do a line for them. So Mike Judge being one of the people that they must have that mutual respect of, like the animation, of course, being, King of the Hill being a precursor to South Park in a lot of ways. They said that they got a lot of backlash for this one because religious groups said that it was blasphemous.
Sure.
I get that a bit, but I also get that some reviewers said it's actually kind of a complex, wholesome message of how humans interact with Jesus and with good and with evil.
Right.
Because I think it's more on that side of things where it's actually a very wholesome view of humanity and humanitarianism.
Sure.
What? No, go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
No, I just feel like even if it's because they're using Jesus and Satan and like the religion aspect of it. If they weren't using that, then sure they wouldn't. It wouldn't.
Then no one would care. Yeah. Right. I understand. They also got backlash from some people saying that they lost their edge. I don't know.
I don't understand what that means.
I don't know. Because like, they're having Jesus box Satan. Like, how could you say that this show lost its edge? And maybe because at the end of the day, it's a wholesome message, so people thought that.
But there's always a wholesome message. That's the whole point.
South Park at its core is kind of about you should be kinder to people.
Right.
So that's very odd that people would say that they lost their edge at this point. And who knows? Maybe they just cherry-picked, because it was Matt and Trey saying this, so maybe they just cherry-picked seeing some people say that, and it bugged them more because it was, negativity. Because people said that they sold out. Like, this was proof that they sold out. And it's like, what are you talking about? They're doing something that clearly is going to piss people off. I don't get it. So anyway, let's get right into Damien.
Or maybe they're just showing the two extremes where they did piss people off, and other people are saying it's not enough.
Right. So like, what are
but
we
it is
supposed
enough
to do?
because it is like pissing people off, but it's not enough.
Yeah. So I guess maybe they are just showing that like no matter what you do, you can't win with these people. Which again, if you go on X, which I hope is dead by the time this episode drops and we've moved on to something else. You go on Threads or whatever.
I keep getting confused when you say X.
This is a fucking stupid name.
Yes, I agree.
It doesn't affect me in the slightest because I don't use it. We barely use it.
It's so dumb.
But it's just fucking stupid.
We do have a Threads now, though, so...
Yeah, so go follow us on Threads. So, anyway, let's get into Damien. So it begins with Cartman handing out invitation to his birthday party. And you will notice, Rachel, that this is definitely something that sticks with Cartman. A lot of his personality traits come from this episode.
Yes.
And in particular, the way that he verbalizes things, of course, comes with this episode, too. Because he's doing a, here you go, here you go. That, like, trying to be like, oh, I'm such an innocent, here you go,
like,
Clyde,
oh, this is
here's an invitation. Yeah.
But he also wants them to pay attention to him. It's that,
Here's yours, Wendy, and here's yours, Clyde.
The kids are excited, though.
Pip asks for his.
the kids are excited because his mom always throws these huge-ass parties for him. And she's a good cook and everything, so they're all excited to be able to go. Pip does not get an invitation. He's like, Pip, I didn't get you an invitation. It's turning into Michael Jackson. And he's
so
like...
mean, though.
Yes, he teases him.
Because he always does that higher voice. That is his teasing voice.
Yes, that's his teasing voice. And he says that he shoved Pip's invitation up his ass. So Pip is not getting an invitation. Pip is a terrible character. Like, let's be real. But...
I mean, he's just a character. He's just there.
Yes. Mr. Garrison tells the kids that it's a special day today because there is a new student there. And this is where we get the Rectus Dominos.
Dominos.
I used to think it was Dominoes, like I said, but it wasn't. Damien
Which also
enters...
would have been funny. It just says scary chant, so I don't tell you.
It doesn't say anything. That sucks. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't let you... Yeah, it's stupid. Oh, I do like this, though. On the blackboard, it does say 666.
Oh, so, like, the signs were there.
One of the... algebraic equations is 2x plus 3y plus 1 equals 666.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So yes, Damien, clearly the Damien from The Omen as well. He's modeled the same way with the jet black hair and like the bowl cut and everything. Rachel, have you ever seen The Omen? The original or the remake?
I've never watched The Omen. I don't think I've watched the Omen before.
We'll probably have to add them to the list. Another Richard Donner movie.
I think we will.
Yeah. I don't know when. We've got to do more horror, of course, on the list.
Oh, yeah.
He says, because Mr. Garrison asks him where he's from, where Damien is from, and Damien says, the 7th layer of hell! And Mr. Garrison's like, oh, that's exciting. My mother was from Alabama.
Yep.
I really like that line. And he has Damien takes a seat, so they're going to start back what they were talking about. I can't remember what lesson Mr. Garrison was giving them, but the part that he is trying to emphasize is that Nancy Sinatra was quite a choice piece of ass.
I guess I don't know. Music?
I'm sure it was chemistry or something. Who knows?
Yeah, something.
Damien always talks in this grand fashion about how he's going to rule over the world and his father's reign will last 1,000 years and all of this stuff. This entire time he's talking like in grand tomes.
Oh yes, right.
Cartman, of course, starts to bully Damien right away because that is
immediately
Cartman's
starts
job.
Teasing him.
Yes. Damien gets mad at him because Cartman says like, oh, here's your invitation, new kid. And he's like, oh, you're not gonna get one. I can't remember if he says anything else to him, but Damien, getting mad, uses his devil powers to lift Cartman's desk and throw it out the window. I'm kind of surprised he didn't throw Cartman out with it, but Cartman kind of like slides out of the desk before it goes out the window.
Yeah, he kind of falls out of the desk first.
Yeah.
I think because it spins, so it just like dumps him first.
Okay. And that allows Cartman to, or allows Mr. Garrison to yell at Damien a little bit for doing that, but nobody kind of questions the powers.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, they're just kind of like, yeah, that happened.
Yeah, it happens. He has devil powers.
Somebody gets mad, yeah, the desk goes out the window, sure.
It's just another day in South Park, really.
Yeah.
At lunch, the boys ask why Cartman put items on their invitation. They all have like a different item on their invite. And he's put on there what they're supposed to get him. So like each person is supposed to get him something. Like this is what they're supposed to get him. And they're like, they're not supposed to do that.
You're supposed to let like it be a surprise.
Rachel.
Or you can give like, here's the things I like. Yeah.
I don't mind this practice. In fact,
I don't.
If people did this, unless it was something like if you had to fight back and be like, I'm not getting you something that's expensive or whatever like that.
Oh, yeah.
But if somebody did this and it was like in the right price range, I'd be perfectly fine with getting them whatever they actually asked for.
I mean, I usually ask for like a mini list of things you'd like, or themes like that you like, and then I kind of go off of that. That's more fun for me than to get you something.
Yeah. As someone that
I mean, it's understandable.
As someone that gets horribly stressed out about getting people the right gift, though, and then ultimately I'm just get whatever I can find or like think might be good anyway.
Yeah.
This would be way more helpful and easy if someone's just like, just get me this. Like Mom does that a ton with us. She'll just
Sometimes
be like,
she'll
just
do
get
that,
me
yeah.
this.
Like, this is it. Right.
Yeah. This year
She's very specific.
We got her random stuff on our own, kind of. I guess she did do a get me this once or twice on there.
She did.
But it's so much easier
then
because then you know that you're getting
I wanted to get her
somebody...
something else, so now I have to wait till Christmas to get her something else.
But like, it makes it so much easier because you know what they're getting, and the prices aren't too bad because he's like, well, he has to get all the Mega Men because then he can make the Ultra Mega Man. And he's
Sounds
essentially
like a Power Ranger thing.
Well, it definitely is a rip-off Power Ranger thing. Like, I think that's what this is supposed to be, right? Like, you put together all the Mega Men and they make the Ultra Mega Man. So it of course is definitely Power Ranger thing, which we'll get to down the line at some point as well.
I mean, I guess if you think about it, so yes, they're talking about the fact that don't give us like the gift, but then he like turns to Kenny and he goes, I gave you the cheaper one because I know you're poor. And I was like, okay, well, look, that is probably as nice as a thing as Cartman.
That's as nice as Cartman can be. Yeah.
Yes, because he's like, well, you're poorer, so I'm gonna tell you to get me the cheapest one, which is like, okay, that's thoughtful for Cartman, and then he then becomes an asshole after that. But still,
yes, still effort.
Still effort until he starts making fun of him for being poor.
Right. The yellow Mega Man is only $8.95. He's kind of essentially using his mother's baked goods to blackmail them all into getting what he wants. I mean, you're going to get Cartman something anyway, I guess, so you might as well get something where he's not going to be an asshole about it.
Sure.
But he's still Cartman, so it's like, you don't want to get him anything because he's a little asshole.
The thing is that he's being very specific. He's going, this is what I want, so this would be like a good thing if here's your idea to get me. But instead this is what you have to get me or you don't get cake and you have to leave.
Right.
Like, that's the problem.
That's the difference.
That's where the problem
You're right.
comes in.
That is the difference. Not only is that the difference, but we're thinking of it as adults where it's like, hey, what do you want? Because... we're adults exchanging gifts.
And I want to get you a gift, but like I want to get you something you want.
Yeah, we're not thinking about kids doing it. Because like as an adult, you almost have to do that because an adult can go get themselves whatever they want. Right. So you have to be like, well, what kind of thing would you like as a gift instead of getting it for yourself? Yeah. All right. I retract my statements.
No, it's fine. It's understandable.
It's just a different phase of life, yes. As a kid. Yes. Kids, if you're listening to this episode, and you should get your parents' permission to listen to Shelf Life, don't
Especially
tell,
South Park.
Especially South Park. You shouldn't be. Don't tell your friends what to get you. You should be letting your friends' moms exchange information with each other.
Yeah, the parents now must speak to each other and say, what does your kid actually want? Okay,
Yeah,
we're going to get your kid
fucking
this.
little brat? What's your stupid little brat actually want? Can't stand him, but our friends play with each other, yeah. Weirdly, I thought this was weird of Damien. I guess he's just trying to fit in, or he's just trying to sit somewhere. Damien tries to come and sit with them, and they reject him.
Yeah, they pull a Mean Girls and say, you can't sit with us.
They literally do, yeah. And they shout at Damien, because Damien goes to just sit with Pip, because Pip's just sitting by himself, so he knows, like, he'll go sit with him. Pip introduces himself, and he's like, my name's Philip, but everyone hates me, so they call me Pip. And he's like, well, then I'll call you Pip, because he's trying to still be Damien, like the tough little
evil
kid, yeah. They shout back at Damien, because they're making fun of the new kid, and they say Kenny saw his mom in the parking lot, and she's a real dog. Which I think is also a reference to the Antichrist, because the Antichrist in the Omen, the mom's a jackal?
Oh, I never really thought about that. That would make sense.
I think it's a reference to that, because so then, like, is the mom, like, literally a dog then, or something?
Gotcha. Or, like, yeah, so maybe she was actually a jackal and they did see her.
Kenny says something under his muffledness. I couldn't tell what he said this time.
No
but
idea.
Because of this, Damien turns him into a duck-billed platypus.
Yep.
And
yes, he does.
Cartman is
a platypus.
And he's a platypus. The rest of the episode is a platypus.
Which I love that he makes the duck
He makes
sound,
a duck
but
noise. I'm pretty
like,
sure
you're a
that platypus do not make the duck noise.
I don't think so either.
They just have flat-brimmed noses.
Yeah, they have a duck bill. They're duck-billed platypus. That they have a duck bill. They have a beaver tail. They're very adorable. I love platypus. They're so cute.
They're definitely something where God was like, "What leftover
Web feet.
parts do I have here? Let's just put all this together so that we can."
I love it.
Use these parts. It's like getting an IKEA set and you have like a couple of nails left over, and you're like, "Fuck, what am I supposed to do with these?" Cartman is upset about this, and he wants him turned back.
Oh no, they chirp. They go.
Oh, that's even weirder. Who would have thought that? Like, what a random... It's a random animal.
They're so cute, though. I love them.
I'm not saying
Anyways,
they're not
I'm
cute.
sorry.
I'm just saying they're very random.
Yes.
Cartman wants Kenny turned back into a human because can't get him the toy if he doesn't. Which I think he still could.
Which is interesting.
But
yeah, why not?
He's
just
follows
like
the boys
humanoid
around.
Platypus.
Yeah. Chef tells them not like someone just because they're different, because they're saying, like, the new kid's here and he's a weirdo and that kind of stuff. And he's like, well, you're not supposed to...
Chef has a good... Yeah, he gives him a good talking
He actually
to.
gives him fairly decent advice. In fact, he starts singing a song about it, and he's... for Chef, he stays on point pretty well.
He does. Yes.
At least for a while.
Until he says, and then I can lay you down, it doesn't matter, because...
Yeah,
yeah.
He starts going into his usual thing.
Sexiness.
Yeah.
Because he's sexy chef.
To the point where he has to stop himself and go, like, what were we talking about? Because he cannot remember what he was supposed to be singing to them. Damien starts going nuts because he realizes that, like, all the kids are going to reject him. So he just starts spinning shit all around the lunchroom. There's all this, like, furniture and stuff being tossed around, and it's all swirling around.
Too. I thought that was...
There was a gun? I did not see that.
Yeah.
Well, today's schools, nobody would think anything of it, so why not back then?
Ooh, there's a hot take.
Chef says they have to do something, and Damien demands to speak to Jesus.
Of course he does.
And Kyle and Stan look at each other, and they're like, Jesus? And it cuts to Jesus getting ready to go do his talk show. He's he's brushing his hair, which I appreciated that he was brushing his hair. I thought it was kind of funny to see Jesus just brushing his hair.
Yeah, Jesus' hair in South Park is kind of weird. It's almost like he has a man bun with like some loose sides that like just like little loose ends.
Is
on the
that
sides.
what you think it looks like?
That's what it looks like to me.
Interesting.
Right? That he has like his hair in a pony or like or in a man bun, and then it's kind of like just little loose like sides. Because otherwise, it looks like these really stringy pieces just coming down.
It does look kind of stringy.
You'd think he'd have like a full head of hair, like nice full like luxurious
thick
Jesus
head of hair, Jesus hair. Yeah, I guess it's just the way that he's drawn in South Park that makes him look like that. I mean, he looks like the Eurocentric version.
He almost looks
of
balding
Jesus.
too. Yeah,
he kind of does have like a receding line.
Very, very, very tall receding line. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's pretty old. It's
fair.
Kind of. It is the Eurocentric version of the character, but it is interesting. Yeah, to your point, kind of when you think about it. But Stan and Kyle go to see him. He thinks that they want an autograph, but they're like, no. We actually have to come talk to you. Our friend was turned into a duck-billed platypus. Is that what Jesus says? That's pretty heavy? I can't remember. Jesus' response to something that they say is, that's pretty heavy. I can't remember what it is, though.
Yeah, they tell him everything. They tell him like, oh, okay, here, I'll just tell you what it says. No, there's a big problem at school. Some new kid showed up wearing all black, and Chef thinks he's evil. Yeah, look what he did to our friend Kenny. Quack, quack. And then, wow, that's pretty heavy.
Okay. When they get to the point where they say that he says that he's the Dark Prince, or his father is the Dark Prince.
Yeah, like the Prince of Darkness. Yeah.
That's when Jesus realizes who it really is. And he says he has to go talk to him because, like, behold, like, the time is here, and, like, the blah, blah, blah. So he starts going into, like, that kind of the
right, because now he knows, like, the Antichrist. I must, like, turn that part on, because that's what's happening right now.
And I love Stan going, oh man, now he's talking like the new kid, because it's that same idea.
You flipped a switch.
Jesus asks them if he can take me to see this vile creature and all this stuff. So then after he's done doing the big speech, there's just a okay.
I love that. I love perfect. Whenever they do that. Yes. It's always so good.
It's different than it makes sense to do in South Park. I've complained about it when, like, Marvel did it a lot in Guardians of the Volume 2. Do you remember that? Or even Avengers, Joss Whedon's Avengers. They undercut emotional moments with a stupid joke like that.
I don't like when that happens.
It doesn't fit the tone there. It fits the tone here to do that because it's fucking South Park. So you can be like, okay, about something when someone tries to be serious about it.
Yeah, it makes more sense, but it is kind of frustrating when they do it in moments where it shouldn't happen and just let it breathe let it go.
Yeah, in a piece of art where it's not supposed to do that, don't do that. But here it makes perfect sense.
Just because you're trying to push a joke it's not going to work. It's not going to land.
And it lands perfectly here.
Yeah.
Dark Prince?
Yeah.
So it was written. And so the cycle of years brings the son of the evil one.
Oh, brother, now he's talking like the new kid.
Thou must taketh me to the seedling of Satan, so mine eyes can confirm the wretched truth.
Okay.
I love this line. I don't know why I love this line so much, but I love this line, and I feel like I'm going to use it for something. The playground monitor going, 5 minutes till recess is over, you little bastards, is so funny to me.
It is great. I like it. It's good.
Because it's just such like a observed joke, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
Cartman is coming up with a new plan to get the Mega Man toys now that Kenny can't come up with one because he is a duck-billed platypus, as he points out on the board. So he's rearranging the gifts that people are going to have to get him so that he can get the Ultra Mega Man. And the Mega Man playhouse or whatever, beach house or whatever else he was asking Wendy to get him.
Yeah, he was asking for like a beach house. I don't know. Clyde's taking notes. You got like this whole thing happening.
I love that Clyde is taking notes.
It's just ridiculous. It's very silly.
Damien starts...
He's a very spoiled little brat.
Oh, he's incredibly spoiled. And part of that, of course, is we learn over the course of the series, like, his mom feels bad and feels like she has to baby him and doesn't know how to get him to be disciplined, all that kind of stuff, for sure.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Damien starts burning the playground equipment to just show people who's boss.
lighting everything on fire. It's great.
Yeah, as you would if you were the son of the devil. And Pip tells him to go to the counselor because he thinks that the counselor could actually help him. And Jesus shows up on the playground and tells Damien that if Satan wants some, come get some. Is kind of,
Pretty much. Yep.
And I love that also Satan knows it's like Damien is he addresses him as Damien right away because he gets
he knows everybody.
Yeah. Well, he understands okay, the Antichrist is here, yeah.
Right.
And Damien is like, okay, behold, my father, the Prince of Darkness. And we hear from Satan in the clouds. It becomes really ominous. And the wind starts to blow and all of this stuff.
Exactly. The power of evil is being shown.
Yeah. Father Maxie and a bunch of other people come here. Father Maxie, of course, even says, look, it's that guy from the Cable Access show. Somebody in a review that's kind of like a Christian reviewer said that it was an interesting take to have all this because it kind of shows that even someone like a priest is viewing religion through pop culture.
Yes.
Because he's viewing it through the public access show as opposed to it being his Lord and Savior.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the point of the show, actually, because of what we get in the next few scenes. Damien says that his father is calling out Jesus. He chooses him. And Jesus says the final battle between good and evil will be in South Park.
Yep.
And Jimbo is like, we got to get our ass to the bookies.
Yep, they want to bet on it.
Because
that's
naturally, South Park has made this into a spectacle. And it's becoming a pay-per-view fight available for $49.95. Of course they're going to do this. Yep. And again, I think that's more of that commentary where it's this is supposed to be the battle between good and evil, the final showdown. And they cannot help themselves by making this into a spectacle, a fight.
Right. Yes.
They learn that it's going to be on this Saturday, which is the same day as Cartman's birthday. And Cartman is worried about this because are people going to come to his birthday now? What's going to happen?
Yeah. He doesn't want people to not show up and give him his Mega Man.
Right. That's all he really cares about, is that he just wants his stupid presents. He doesn't care if people actually come to his birthday. He just wants the presents.
I don't think he does. Yeah.
And he's like, this whole thing's a plot against me. Which tells you everything you need to know about the Cartman character.
Absolutely.
They do a weigh-in between Jesus and Satan, and they ask Jesus... The boys ask Jesus if he wins the fight, can he turn Kenny back to normal? And Jesus is like, what do you mean if I win the fight?
Yes. And Cartman goes, well, he's Jewish, so don't mind him.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah. He's Jewish, don't mind him.
But it is starting to put, Jesus on a, wait a minute, do people not believe that I'm going to win?
Yes. I think Jesus has a very interesting arc in this episode.
Well, it is kind of his arc.
It's his story. It kind of mimics the passion of the Christ, yes.
Yes, where he starts not believing in himself.
They put all their money on Jesus, most of the town did. So they're like, we're with you, Jesus. We put all our money on you. And he says they don't quite understand the severity of the situation here. This is a big deal. And as this is happening, Satan shows up. A classic South Park character here. He's huge. Trey and Matt said that they went through a lot of process with the animators on what his design should look like and how he should look. They ultimately came up with this design because he had to look like he's just massive compared to Jesus. As Jimbo puts it, he is a man who has eaten a lot of beef. But Rachel, could you describe Satan in the South Park universe?
Describing Satan. Okay, so he's red. He's very red, right? He's very... He's incredibly tall. He's over 300 pounds. He has a skull belt buckle type thing with furry pants. He has his thong on, but I don't know if it is recognizable as a thong yet. And then he has his hooves, right? And he has yellow horns and yellow eyes.
Yeah, he's all upper body.
Goatee.
Does he have a goatee? I guess he does. Yeah. He's all upper body. Yeah.
Very all upper body. Yeah.
The voice that
but he's
they're
got
doing,
goat legs, so it makes sense.
He has
you
goat
know?
legs because he's, the devil. And all that stuff. So yes, it's fair. It's a fair way to describe him. It's just a big, hulking, beastly, bulging devil.
Man.
Trey says that the voice is supposed to be based off of Pinhead. And in particular, it's Pinhead when, in the end of Hellraiser 2, when he's like, it all makes sense now. Because he starts... So, like, that's the voice that he's doing.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So, yes, that's why Satan talks that way. As we learn more about Satan, as South Park goes along, he gets a little more feminine voice, kind of.
Yeah, he gets a friendlier, like, jollier, like, scary, deep voice. But, yeah, it's jollier.
Yeah. So Satan weighs in at 320 pounds compared to Jesus' 135 pounds. And Satan's like, let the new prince be decided on Saturday. I wonder if I can modulate my voice to be more like...
No, you probably could.
The people of South Park are all now terrified that they've put all their money on Jesus after seeing what Satan looks like.
Because he's so tiny.
Yeah.
He's a lightweight versus the heavyweight.
And they're all like, well, we've got to, go, Jesus. Like, yeah, we'll see you Saturday. And they're clearly backing away from supporting him. And the next scene, in fact, is them all going to the bookie and putting all their money on Satan.
Right? Which is just a commentary on people with their...
It absolutely is.
Good and evil.
Regardless of intent or not, it absolutely is a commentary on people putting their faith in... evil or something that's clearly wrong or bad because it's easy or looks like it's going to be the winning side as opposed to doing something... They just want to
be on the winning side.
Yeah.
Instead of doing what's right.
It's actually very thoughtful, surprisingly,
I think that was on purpose.
I think so. I'm
going to give it to him.
Damien goes to Mr. Mackey to talk, so he actually takes Pip's advice on this. And he says everyone hates him. And he's like, why do you think that is? And he's like, because I'm the son of the devil. And he's like, okay, what else? And he says, well, I burned all their playground equipment and all of this stuff. And he's like, yeah, maybe that's it. Mr. Mackey probably giving some pretty terrible advice here. He tells him...
a little bit.
...to be overly nice and to never...
retaliate?
Yes. Don't retaliate
okay.
against the kids. Just be too overly nice and never do anything, because that's what he told Pip, which is clearly working for him.
And there is a point to being like overly nice to a bully, just to be like, don't let it show that it's getting to you. Sure, but stick up for yourself. Don't,
Dexter.
Yeah, seriously, it is one of those things.
Yeah, it is stick up for yourself. And I don't know why it would be advice to not do that. But she gives them some terrible advice.
But I think his point, he's not fully telling them what to do. I think he's giving like half of a thought. It's like, be overly nice and like just keep being nice and then they'll be nice back. Like, okay, sure. It's more so the don't let it show that it's getting to you.
Yeah, I think that's really where he's trying to go with it, which is the right advice. Like, if a bully says something to you or is making fun of you, just kind of ignore it.
Turn the other cheek.
Or like kind of, or even better would probably be to smirk at it, or like think, or like act like, that's okay. Like you could probably do better than that. Because that will actually, that'll actually piss off the bully, right? Because then it means that it's not working. That's
right. That's
really
the whole
way
point.
To do it.
Don't let it work.
Yeah. Don't feed the troll. Which we would do way too much in this world.
Ugh. Stupid trolls.
It, of course, does cut to it working for Pip because the children are all spitting on him. And he's saying, you did a very good job spitting on me there. That was pretty good. Because they're like saying, I'm going to get in his eye or whatever. Yeah. Oh, try again. The kids are all at recess, and Damien comes by, and they yell at him for burning everything down.
And he apologizes.
Yes, he does.
He said he didn't have a choice.
Yes, because he's saying that he was just doing his father's bidding. And Cartman actually, kind of cleverly, is like, goes and farts on him. Because he's like, oh, sorry, new kid. I didn't have a choice.
I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like...
Because it's like, that's just an excuse. Like,
yeah,
come on.
It's like, you did have a choice. You did not have to burn the
You did have
playground
a
down.
choice. You didn't have to give in to evil. You didn't have to burn our stuff down. You have a choice.
But of course, he's also being mad. Like, they're also being mean to him. So, like, nobody is in the right.
Right, so now you're being a bully again. Yeah.
But they're right. He did have a choice. He did not have to do that. And now they're saying that, oh, he smells like farts. So they're going to call him Fart Boy from now on.
Of course, yeah. And then Pip goes, oh, they're calling you Fart Boy? Well, they won't call me Fart Boy anymore.
Yeah. Now they won't call me that.
And he's just covered in spit. It's like sad. It's just like annoying. I hate bullies. I'm not a bully I don't like bullies. Bullies suck.
Say no to bullies, kids. Hashtag no bullies.
Shut up.
But I mean, this is what little kids do to each other. They're mean to each other.
And they're never... But mean kids are... I hate them. I hate them. They shouldn't be mean. That's just wrong. And they're never going to grow out of it. They're always going to be a bully their entire lives. That's how they work.
Probably. Well, I think some people grow out of it. But I think some people
They have to
don't.
be taught, though. Most of them are going
They have to learn
be a bully their entire lives.
Yeah. We go to the bar now, and Jesus enters the bar, and he confronts everyone, because he says that everyone has changed their bets, because he went to the bookie. Jesus at the bookie, and asking what the bets look like. Yeah,
Jesus at the bookie sounds hilarious.
But he says
he has
that
been forsaken.
Only one person is still betting on him.
Yep.
And Father Maxie is like, oh, you should all be ashamed of yourself. Yes. So it's another commentary there of like the hypocrite
the hypocritic,
and Jesus is like, you changed your bet too. Like, it wasn't,
right. It's not
you're
you.
not the one. Yeah.
Calls him out.
And he implores them to not put their faith in Satan. He says pretty blatantly, like, if you put your faith in the evil one, it's going to come back to haunt you. Like, you cannot win doing it that way.
Right.
It's always a bet that they can't win. And they're like, oh, we'll change it. Like, you're right. You've shown us your ways. And as he leaves, they're like, yeah, right. Like, we're going to change our bet. And
right.
I like him coming back
I love this.
Because, of course, it's Jesus. He can, he knows what they're saying or whatever. And he goes,
right.
You're all a bunch of Judases! So
yes,
he
I
calls
love
them out.
You're all a bunch of Judases!
So, at this point, Jesus is doubting himself a bit. He really thinks that the town is against him, and he's not sure if he really can take him now because of this. And he runs into the boys. He asks the boys if they believe in him. And they're like, yeah, you're the Son of God. Of course we believe in you.
Right.
Even Kyle, who is Jewish. And he's like, well, can you help me train? So he's asking for help train. And the boys are like, yeah, we'll help you train, sure. Satan is doing a press conference in the meantime, and it's a Don King bit, because he's like, I'm sick and tired of my fighters being told they're the cause of all evil and violence and death in the world. Let's just stick to the fight. So it's like a little fun cutscene there.
Right.
I thought so anyway, because it is that, like, that Don King-ness of like, oh, let's stick to the fight. Let's stick to the fight here.
Right.
Satan is saying that he's going to crush Jesus like a bug. That's
right.
That's what he.
Of course,
he wants.
I mean, that's what he's going for. He wants to look like the strong one, the tough one, and the one that's going to win.
Chef is Jesus' sparring partner, so the boys got Chef to spar with Jesus, and Chef is like, I can't fight Jesus. My mother would never talk to me. And Jesus convinces Chef. He's like, no, this is for my own good. Like, we need to do this so that I can. Yeah, and Chef is like, okay, so.
But Jesus is a pacifist at this point, and won't hit.
Do you
he
think
doesn't
that's
even
why he
try
won't
to
hit?
defend himself? Yeah, you don't think so?
I like that interpretation.
You think
I have
he was
another one
willing
for during
to?
the fight. No, I have another one for during the fight, but I like that thought at first for sure. That he doesn't want to punch back at Chef because he's Jesus. He's a pacifist.
He's at this point because we.
Yeah.
At
Well,
some
no,
points, I think
I've got
he
it
learn
even-
like fighting techniques, but I thought he was just kind of like more of a pacifist. That's why he isn't strong. That's why he isn't,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
built for fighting.
No, I like that. I was gonna say because later on during the fight, Satan is trying to get Jesus to punch him and he won't, and that is probably also part of your theory here. I was thinking during that fight that he wasn't punching back because he's like, what's the point? None of my people believe in me. So he's letting Satan beat the shit out of him. And
I think that is kind of what he says in the corner too.
Yeah, but I like your idea. Part of why he's not punching back is because he doesn't believe in it. Like he's
just like, I don't know if I can hit back.
If he's gonna defeat Satan, it's not gonna be through violence, which is interesting. And they're kind of forcing his hand. Like his people are forcing his hand into it. That's also interesting there. But Chef punches him a bit, like he taps him, and Jesus falls over.
Because he's 130 pounds.
He's small. It is Saturday, and it is Cartman's party.
It's pretty much a carnival.
There are elephants there.
There's elephants.
There's clowns. There's a Ferris wheel. All of this is somehow in the Cartman's yard. Chef has come to drop off the present for Eric, but he is going to go watch the fight. And he's like, no, stick around, Chef. There's a pie or whatever. And
there's chili.
Oh, chili. Okay.
Yeah, it's his favorite type of chili.
Yes, because he sees Cartman's mom who winks at him, and he's like, oh, all right, I'll stick around. It's my favorite type, yeah. Pip and Damien are just, like, on the sidewalk. I like that Pip and Damien are hanging out outside of school. Like, it's weird that Damien was like, I'll go hang out with Pip, but whatever.
Well, it's the only one that, like, will talk to him.
Yeah, Damien is looking for some acceptance. Yeah, you're right. Damien is trying to be accepted. So they're talking about how there's the party going on, and Pip says that sometimes I like to go up to the fence and close my eyes and pretend I'm there. He reveals, Pip does, that they used to make fun of the fat boy quite a bit as well, meaning Cartman. Right. But now that he picks on Pip, they don't pick on him as much, or they don't pick on him anymore. And that, of course, gives Damien an idea.
That's right.
We get to the fight, and we get to the introductions. And the introductions were done by Michael Buffer, who is the famous ring announcer guy, who used to do the ring announcing for boxing events, who would do the Let's Get Ready to Rumble all the time. WCW brought him in a lot. That's where I would always see him, because WCW would pay him an asinine amount of money. Because it's like, he would get like $500,000 to like $1 million every time he said that shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was outrageous. But they actually got him for this.
I could be like that, where I could just say a phrase and then I get a ton of money.
I know,
I'll just
right?
keep saying that phrase over and over again.
Yeah,
I'll tell you whenever anybody wants me to.
Yeah, it doesn't. I would not care. It would not be a situation like Bart with, I didn't do it. I would be like, yes, if you're gonna pay me that amount of money to say it every time, fine. I will sell out immediately.
Let's go.
But they get Michael Buffer to do this, and I like the introductions here because it's
kind of funny.
El Savior Christ, and in the very black corner, wearing very black trunks, Beelzebub.
Yep, I did like that. Yeah, the king of all evil. I couldn't remember. I was like, Beelzebub, I guess, is like one of his names, too. Because I was like trying to remember, because I'm like, it's Lucifer, it's Beelzebub, it's Satan.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of names.
I think canonically Lucifer was his angel name.
That's his angel name.
I don't know where Beelzebub comes from, though.
It's in demonology, it's a 7 deadly sin representing gluttony and envy.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true. I thought I read that there was a meaning. Hold on.
That's what Beelzebub is?
So in Hebrew, it means fly lord.
Oh, interesting. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense, though. Lord of the Flies.
But yeah, Beelzebub is gluttony, and it's one of the 7 demon lords, too. So
interesting.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go. Now we learned something. The people cheer for Satan. Jesus calls them out for it. And then the referee tells them no punches below the belt, holding, or miracles. Damien shows up at Cartman's, and he says he has a present for him, or he wants to do something special for his birthday. He summons the demons from Ghost through his demon powers.
Yeah, fair enough.
They look a lot like the Ghost demons.
Absolutely.
And they send Pip into the air on fire and then blow him up.
Like a firework.
Firework. that probably should have been the end for Pip. Like, that should have probably been the
think.
end of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they really like this, so they invite him into the party. So Damien has found his way in. He understands the social hierarchy of, like, how to make himself part of the group.
Right.
Just find a kid worse than you or weirder than you and pick on him.
Yeah, that's a great it's great advice right there. Great advice.
That's how it works.
It's definitely how I want to be accepted. That's what I would do.
Well, it's how Damien would want to be accepted. Satan beats up on Jesus, who won't throw a punch like we discussed, probably because he's being a pacifist, or, like, my interpretation
And he doesn't
was,
believe himself. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't believe in himself. The people don't believe
So
in
what's the
him,
point?
so what's the point? Back to Cartman's. And Cartman is doing a lot of, like, oh, let's see what Kyle got me. Oh, Stan got me the blue Mega Man. Oh, thank you, Stan. You may now go eat pie, cake, and ice cream now. So he's, like, being a little obnoxious turd.
He's being a little turd. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yep.
Oh, I wonder what Stan got me for my birthday party. Oh, look, a blue Mega Man. Thank you, Stan. You may eat pie and cake and ice cream now. And what did Wendy get me? Oh, it's the yellow Mega Man. Help yourself to pie, cake, and ice cream, Wendy. Oh, look what Kyle got me. It's a red Mega... Ants in the pants. Ants in the pants. Ants in the pants.
Ants in the pants. He has this fit. And he's...
He has a absolute fit.
He throws Kyle down. He starts slapping him. And Kyle's like, they were all out of the red Mega Man. Because now he's like, how am I supposed to make the Ultra Mega Man without the red Mega Man? I can't. So he's pissed off. He gets so mad that he turns the party off, quite literally.
Oh my god. Oh yeah. Literally pulls the plug on the party.
And he tells everybody to go home. And I love, too, that he throws ants in the pants. He's like, take your ants in the pants with you. Rachel, did we ever play Ants in the Pants?
I mean, I feel like I've heard of the game. I don't know if I've ever played it.
That's what I'm thinking, too. I kind of want to say that maybe Grandma had it.
Maybe.
But I don't remember if we played it or not.
Like, if anything, it was like a game we've played at, like, the cousin's house as kids, or at, like, Grandma and Grandpa's, or something.
This
but I don't
PAL,
think we had
I don't
it.
remember, I do know we did not have this PAL. I don't think. But it looks vaguely familiar.
Yeah,
so
it
maybe
looks
it
vaguely
was
familiar.
something that we've done at some point as a little kid.
That,
but
or I just remember it from, advertisements on TV.
Also possible. But these, like, little pieces do look familiar. Because, like, the idea was, let's see, what the hell was it? Freestanding pair of miniature plastic pants, several plastic ants. The ants are all color-coded. Each player uses a colored ant. When the tail is pressed,
you try to,
the ants spring in the air, and your objective
I
is to get as many ants as
see.
possible into the pants. Yeah, I've seen this thing, but I don't know if we have ever played it, come to think of it.
Yeah, I don't
feel
think
like,
I've ever played it.
Yeah. It does look extremely stupid. It looks like it wouldn't work.
Well, because it's like because you make the ant jump.
Yeah.
You flick it so it jumps into the pants.
Yeah.
I feel like it's stuff like people would do with, like, paper and stuff to get in the cup or something,
Yeah.
Same idea.
Yeah.
But it's themed.
It's kind of beer pong. It's teaching kids beer pong at an early age. Or quarters, I guess, to be, because you're
I was
flicking
thinking
it.
more quarters.
But still, same idea. Okay, so that's the end of Cartman's party, and Damien is like, oh, that kid has some real emotional problems, and Stan's like, he's always like this. And
right.
Chef is like, come on, kids, we can go still see the fight. So they all go run over to the fight, and as they go run over to the fight, Pip falls from the air. And he's like, oh, what a nice party.
Well, he got to be involved. So
yeah, he got to be involved.
Is happy.
So I guess Trey and Matt thought that they still had something for him to do, so they couldn't kill him off quite yet. Actually, I don't know if Pip ever was killed off. Yeah, that's
probably
true.
not. He probably just, like, moved.
He just, vanished, kind of.
As kids do. They just disappear.
Jesus is getting creamed at this point. They have a break, so he goes into the corner. It's the end of some round. And this is where...
Satan does keep saying, like, fight back. Like, hit me.
Hit me, hit me. This is where he's talking about what's the point. No one believes in him. His father didn't believe in him. The people don't believe in him. It doesn't matter. And Stan gives a very bad motivational speech.
Absolutely.
It's a very untimely reference for today's day and age, but it was timely at the time. It was timely back then, because he's talking about Nancy Kerrigan. Rachel, you know the whole Nancy Kerrigan thing, right?
I think so.
Okay, so for those that don't know, for our folks at home that might be younger or not have remembered any of this, the movie I, Tonya covers this entire thing.
Ah, yes, yeah. So it is what I was thinking it is.
Yeah,
okay.
This is the Nancy Kerrigan, Tonya Harding thing, where Nancy Kerrigan was Tonya Harding's biggest rival in the sport of figure skating. Nancy Kerrigan ended up getting clubbed in the knee by Tonya Harding's fiance and friend put up these guys to do this. She claims she didn't, but I think they've kind of all said, like, yeah, she didn't know that. Yeah, but they were trying to, like, threaten her and stuff like that. But anyway, the whole thing was then it, like, put people, like, Tonya Harding was, like, the white trash girl, and Nancy Kerrigan was gonna bring home the gold and all of this stuff. And then after all of that drama, they got to the Olympics and neither of them won. Like somebody from China won or something like that. So Nancy Kerrigan only got the silver after all of that. So that's the reference there, and why Kyle's like, dude, she didn't win, she got second, and so like it's like a bad motivational speech. Doesn't play as well today, but in February 1998, people would have understood that reference.
Exactly.
So then Stan tries a different tactic, and he says, you know, Jesus, someone once said, don't try to be a great man, just be a man. And Jesus is like, who said that? And Stan says, you did, Jesus.
You.
And that encourages him to fight.
You know, somebody once said, don't try to be a great man, just be a man.
Who said that?
You did, Jesus.
You're right, Stan. Thank you, boys.
Wow, did he say that in the Bible? No, I saw it on Star Trek.
But of course, Jesus never said that was from Star Trek.
Right, of course. But it gave him like, oh, you listened to something I said. I think it gave him a little bit more of like a push, you know, that somebody believes in me, I can believe in me.
I also thought it was kind of like it's a self-taught lesson. You're right. Like, I am supposed to be the motivation. I am supposed to be the savior. It doesn't matter if everyone forgets me. I have to
keep going.
Yeah. Which is also, you know, I like all of our religious interpretations in this episode, Rachel. I didn't think that we were going to have this many, to be honest.
Apparently we do.
What happens is Jesus ducks a couple of punches from Satan, and then he finally swings and hits him, and it's just this little tap to the point where, like, even the score kind of goes like, Meow. But Satan goes, oh, you got me, and he, like, falls to the ground.
And falls over.
And takes a dive, and counts him out. So Jesus wins. El Sus, El Savior Christ! And anyway, Jesus wins. Satan gets back up immediately, and the crowd is like, hey, wait a minute. He took a dive. He got back up right away.
Right.
And Satan reveals what, Rachel?
Yeah. Who do you think was the only person who bet on Jesus? Satan. Which I think could kind of also fit into Satan's character. You know, when we learn, like, more about him, I feel like he is kind of like, nah, Jesus can keep that job. I like being, like...
Eventually, he does kind of accept that, yes. In South Park
so it almost kind of works with the character, but he is also just being like, I'm taking all your money and leaving.
Yeah, it's like, this
Screw
really
you guys,
wasn't...
I'm going home.
Yes.
Richer.
Yeah, this was not the real final battle. I just wanted to take all your money, and he does, and
right.
he leaves.
Great.
Yeah, he gloats and leaves, and the people are like, that guy is a jerk. And
yes.
I love the way that he gloats too. He's like, he like doing like arms up in the air, and like his hooves are out and everything.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And Stan gets on the mic and he's like, you know, Jesus warned you guys not to listen and believe in Satan. Like, he warned you about this. And they're like, oh, Jesus, could you ever forgive us? And he's like, do I have a choice? Like, of course I do. Like, that's my job. So
that's my whole point, is that I can give you forgiveness.
Yeah. So at the end, they all forgive, or they're all forgiven by Jesus.
Yeah.
And then Jimbo starts saying that he learned not to bet on evil. So we're gonna get the I learned something today from Jimbo.
Yes.
But as he's saying it, there's a look, Ned. There's a duck-billed platypus, and it's coming right for us. And he takes out a gun and he
then
shoots.
boom,
Kenny.
boom, 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 boom. Bye, Kenny.
So Kenny gets gunned down.
Yes.
I always like these little ones where Kenny gets killed, almost like, oh, we forgot, and so they come up with something at the end. But this kind of fit because it's like, oh, we could have Jimbo shoot him because he's a duck-billed platypus.
Because he's duck-billed platypus and he's a hunter.
Damien tells the kids that he has to leave because his dad's always on the move, so he has to go do whatever next evil thing he's supposed to do.
Yeah. Kyle
and Stan come up with what they learned today, which is that parents can be cruel, and a child really needs security. Which of course
being
is
accepted and have security.
Which then cuts immediately to Cartman eating all the leftover pie and cake.
All of them, all of the desserts.
Because his mom will not let that go to waste, I guess, or it's just
I guess he's been just.
Insistent.
I have a feeling he's just been demanding them, and then now he's just over full at this point because he said
demanding them because
pie.
he cut the party. Yeah. So now
it's all his. I'm
he's sitting there all mad.
It's mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says no more pie, and that's the end of the episode. So Rachel, what did you think of Damien?
So I said this at the beginning. I didn't remember this episode at all.
Yeah.
Anything, which was really interesting. And at one point, during the fight, I'm like, did Satan bet on Jesus? Is this like a pulling it over your eyes thing? And then it was. I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. I liked that. So I thought it was kind of interesting. It felt kind of shorter. I don't know why this one felt short.
Feel breezier.
It felt short.
Yeah.
So just kind of boom. There's the story. There's the message. On we go. So it was an interesting one.
Yeah, I agree. I always remember this one. I always remember this one being one of the highlights for me from season 1. I think it's because of the Omen stuff, and I like the idea of Jesus and Satan fighting in a boxing match.
It's great.
I think it's pretty good. And like you said, it does feel quick. I think the flow must just be really good in this one, that we think it's faster or something like that. I don't know if it's as good as some of the other episodes of the season. I don't know. We'll see when the rankings come out, but I think it's pretty good. I was surprised at how much we were able to get out of it with our shelf life deep thoughts. Shelf life. Yeah. I was not, I did forgot that we could probably do that with this, but it's very fun and the boxing match is good.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's a pretty solid episode. So that was Damien. So we have 3 episodes left. And
season 1.
Quite frankly, I can see that the timer's running out, so I'm not even going to wait for that damn music to come because I'm actually paying attention this time. Okay, and then here comes the music. So I got it. All right, fine. So we have 3 episodes left. Next time on Shelf Life, we'll conclude South Park Season 1. But until then, I've been Kevin.
And I'm Rachel.
Oh, and there goes the music. Okay, it's too late.